Chapter 451. Fine, this king won't do. Us father and son will not be able to take down Lin Yu. Sheng Kuei raised his hand, and young master Sheng Su stepped into the air. It was still two people against Lin Yu at the same time. Shameless. At this moment, Yu Xiaoxiao's voice came from the Alchemy Emperor's sect. She brought Mother Yu, Xiong Wenlong, Bai Bai, and the others from the Alchemy Emperor's sect and Ghoul sect. Young Master Sheng Su, if you want to fight, let's fight. Xiong Wenlong pointed at young Master Sheng Su, who was about to attack Lin Yu. It's time to settle the debt of stealing my wife. You? This young master will kill you first, then take your wife. Young Master Sheng Su's eyes turned red as he rushed towards Xiong Wenlong. Husband, be careful, Bai Bai said worriedly. Don't worry, I'll kill this lecher today to avenge you. Xiong Wenlong took a step forward, and talismans flew into the sky. A giant descended. Lin Yu, I'll help you. Yu Xiaoxiao also moved and appeared beside Lin Yu. At the same time, Lin Yin, Zhuang Tiangang, and Yang Mu also gathered. Interesting, it's getting more and more interesting. Sheng Kuei sneered, but he was cursing in his heart. With so many experts gathered, how could they take down Lin Yu? North King, focus on Lin Yu. I'll take care of the others. Mo Yin too looked at Yin Xiaoxiao. This won't affect the reputation of the Alchemy Emperor sect, right? Yin Xiaoxiao's expression was cold, but before she could speak, Mo Yin Tu and Mo Yin Uni had already attacked Lin Yin and the others. State teacher, Lin Yin was worried that Lin Yu would be alone. However, the latter was still calm and said absent-mindedly, go. Okay. Lin Yin and the others immediately faced Mo Yin Tu and his son. You're the only one left. Sheng Kuei clasped his hands in front of his chest and stared at Lin Yu. Let this king test if the state teacher's battle physique is really that powerful. Lin Yu shrugged, but before he could speak, Sheng Kuei had already rushed over. You sure have a lot of thoughts. Lin Yu felt helpless. It was obvious that Sheng Kuei wanted to distract Lin Yu. Sheng Kuei's speed was extremely fast. He instantly closed in on Lin Yu. As he released his blood energy, the air around Lin Yu and Sheng Kuei began to swirl and converge into his fist. They're here. Lin Yu smiled, but didn't do anything. However, in the direction of the broken sword cliff, the originally calm light of enlightenment suddenly shattered. The sound of space exploding could be heard. Inside the Emperor Hall, the Heartless Sword Sovereign had already known about the arrival of the Azura Emperor sect and the battle in the guest hall. However, he didn't care about these small fights at all. Instead, at this moment, the Heartless Sword Master, who had been cultivating with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes. In front of him, a wooden sword hilt suddenly vibrated. The Sword Emperor Great Dao finally has a successor. In the direction of the guest hall, everyone was also attracted by the loud noise caused by the dissipation of the light of enlightenment. The loud noise swept across the sky of the Sword Emperor sect. The emerald light curtain turned into countless raindrops and scattered over the sky of the Sword Emperor sect. Sword Dao light. Every light spot seems to contain endless Sword Dao. Everyone, sit down and comprehend it. Even the sword envoy of the Broken Sword Cliff didn't cause such a sensation. Who is at the Broken Sword Cliff? The same name suddenly appeared in everyone's mind. The Emperor sect's first sword, Yang Kai. Not only the people of the Sword Emperor sect, but even the people of the Azura Emperor sect and Emperor Tong sect were shocked by the scene in front of them. The sword Dao in the sky turned into rain and fell down. At the same time, a respectful voice rang in their ears. Low-profile sect's left envoy, Yang Kai, has arrived late. Sect Master, please punish us. This voice rang in everyone's ears. On the Broken Sword Cliff, the figure of a man appeared. However, when everyone saw his figure, this person had already disappeared from the Broken Sword Cliff. When he reappeared, he was standing behind Lin Yu, and in front of him was Sheng Kuei, who was about to stomp on Lin Yu. You are? Sheng Kuei's eyes widened, but he had already made his move. However, in the next moment, countless sword chi descended from the sky like lightning and reached Sheng Kuei's head in an instant. Impossible. Shang Kuei felt an unprecedented sense of crisis. The speed of the sword chi was faster than any move he had ever seen in his life. How could he dare to continue attacking? Shang Kuei quickly retreated and opened up the distance between him and Lin Yu. However, in the next moment, the ocean-like sword chi above Shang Kuei's head had already swallowed him. Father. While young Master Shang Su was fighting with Xiong Wenlong, he was distracted when he saw Shang Kuei being swallowed by the sword chi. Father is not a good person. Xiong Wenlong gritted his teeth, and the talisman giant's fist hit young Master Shang Su. Pooh! Young Master Shang Su spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. As he retreated, the talisman giant's fist landed on him again. With a bang, young Master Shang Su smashed into the ground. Xiong Wenlong's eyes were bloodshot. He could bully him, but he couldn't bully his wife. Hundreds of punches landed on the spot where young Master Shang Su had fallen. In the end, even Xiong Wenlong himself spat out a mouthful of blood. His chi and blood were in turmoil, and his laws were in chaos. Clearly, he had overexerted himself and fell to the ground. Husband. Bai immediately took him into her arms. Young Master. At the same time, young Master Shang Su's 8 followers saw the situation and shouted to avenge young Master Shang Su. Beast trapping array. The 8 of them attacked together. However, how could Xiong Wenlong still have the strength to fight? In the sky, Yu Xiaoxiao held the thunderclap divine sword. It's you guys again. Today I won't lose again. The previous loss was still vivid in her mind. Yu Xiaoxiao remembered that if it weren't for Lin Yu, she might have been humiliated by these 8 people. At this moment, the thunderclap divine sword shone brightly and fought with the beast trapping array again. In another direction, the dust settled at young Master Shang Su's location. Everyone was shocked to see that the short and domineering body had already been torn apart. He couldn't be more dead. Son. Shang Kuei rushed out of the sea of swords. At this moment, his whole body was covered in blood. Even if he had a second heavenly layer body, he was still losing his vitality. Damn it! Damn it! Attack together! Shang Kuei's roar spread in all directions. Upon hearing this order, the several hundred experts on the dozens of warships that had been biding their time immediately rose into the air. They locked onto the direction of the guest hall. Leave no one alive. Avenge the young master. But before they could attack, inside the Sword Emperor sect, in the main hall that was filled with death chi, there were only swords. A sword light soared into the sky. What followed was the cold and ruthless voice of Sword Master Wu Hexen. The Sword Emperor sect is not a place where you can be presumptuous. His words caused the hearts of everyone on the battleship to rumble. Shang Kuei gritted his teeth. He didn't expect that the Sword Emperor would be alarmed in the end. He took a step forward, took away young Master Shang Su's body, and returned to the warship without looking back. He ran away. On the other side, Mo Lien too had just defeated Lien Yin and the others when his left shoulder was pierced by Yang Kai's sword. How dare you hurt my father? Mo Lien Yun roared. But he knew in his heart that he was not Yang Kai's opponent. As soon as this person appeared, he had injured the 2 strongest combatants on the scene. How could he beat him? Mo Lien Yun locked his eyes on Lin Yu and clenched his hand into a claw. To catch bandits, first catch the king. Chapter 452. Lin Yu was still looking at Yin Xiaoxiao, but he suddenly saw Mo Lien Yun rushing towards him from the right. Lin Yu blinked, but he didn't move. Son, stop! Mo Lien too hurriedly shouted. Father, I've succeeded. Mo Lien Yun's figure was extremely fast, and he was already within 3 feet of Lin Yu. Seeing Lin Yu's unresponsive appearance, Mo Lien Yun, he could already see Lin Yu dying miserably in his own hands. However, in the next moment, Mo Lien Yun's eyes widened as he looked down at his chest. There a finger was pointing at it. His vision darkened as he saw Yang Kai's indifferent and calm face. Mo Lien Yun, he felt as if he had fallen into an ice cave, and the aura of death rushed from the soles of his feet to the top of his head. No, don't kill me. A hoarse voice came, but it also stopped abruptly in the air. Countless sword chi pierced through, and Mo Lien Yunyi's body was instantly riddled with holes. He couldn't be more dead. Idiot, idiot! Mo Lien Tu's old face was as red as blood, and he was heartbroken. You silly child, you can't see that Lin Yu is the center of Yang Kai's battle. Yang Kai, you dare to kill indiscriminately? This king will report to the Emperor Lord and punish you. Li Chen roared, but he was no fool. How could he not see that Yang Kai had already stepped into the sixth stage of the Sword Dao, the infinite Sword Sea realm? Not only that, Yang Kai's cultivation had also stepped into the second heavenly layer of the Law realm, the same realm as him. The current Yang Kai, not to mention Xiao Wu Shuang. Even he wasn't sure he could defeat him, but Yang Kai ignored him. Instead, he half-knelt to Lin Yu. Subordinate came late. Please punish me, sect master. Lin Yu helped him up. You came back just in time. Saying so, he looked down. Mo Yin's eyes were filled with murderous intent. In Li Chen's expression, as if he wanted to kill them. Lin Yu saw it all. Do you still want to fight? Lin Yu's voice came faintly. This sentence had no target. In other words, everyone below was the target of this sentence. No one dared to reply. Even Li Chen's face was gloomy. This was his territory, but the combat prowess displayed by Kai Yang was enough to make him think twice before making a move. Coupled with Lin Yu, who was in the grand supreme stage of the law of combat, even Mo Lien Tu and Shan Kuei could not hold him back. Li Chen wasn't sure either. Lin Yu landed. Yang Kai followed closely behind. Standing in front of Mo Lien Tuesday, Mo Lien Tu stared at Lin Yu, but he dared not say anything. Scram! Lin Yu's cold voice sounded out. Mo Lien Tu's face twitched, but in the end he could only step aside. He arrived in front of Yin Xiao Xiao. Lin Yu naturally saw everything that Yin Xiao Xiao had done just now. Yin Xiao Xiao's eyes lit up when she saw the familiar figure appear in front of her again. However, she managed to control her emotions very well. It's been a long time, Sect Master Lin. Yin Xiao Xiao spoke slowly, her voice slightly dry. There's no need to send the Imperial Madam to find Mo Lien Yun Yi. Lin Yu guessed that Madam came here for another purpose. A deep and confident voice entered Yin Xiao Xiao's ears. The latter smiled lightly. I still can't hide anything from you. Yin Xiao Xiao looked at the others from Azura Emperor's sect. Great General, return to the warship first. Leave this matter to this queen. At this moment, Yin Xiao Xiao seemed to be saving Mo Lien Tuesday. She knew Lin Yu, since Lin Yu did not let Kai Yang kill Mo Lien Tu just now. That meant he intended to give Mo Lien Tu a way out. Now Yin Xiao Xiao was actually sending Mo Lien Tu away, but the latter could only nod. Many thanks, Madam Xiao Xiao. Saying so, Mo Lien Tu and Shan Kuei took away Mo Lien Yunyi's deformed body. He and Shan Kuei could have taken away their son directly. Unfortunately, they didn't know the truth and didn't know what wrong young Master Shang Su and Mo Lien Yun had done. First, young Master Shang Su bullied the weak and even kidnapped Xiong Wenlong's wife. Then, Mo Lien Yun wrongly accused Lin Yu of cooperating with him, secretly urging the Sword Emperor sect to become enemies with Lin Yu. Azura Emperor sect and Emperor Tong didn't care about these, because young Master Shang Su and Mo Lien Yun were used to being arrogant. Once someone offended them, they would even obstruct their tyranny. Shang Kuei and Mo Lien Tu behind them would also stand up for them. Just like today, the army arrived at the Sword Emperor's sect. Two powerhouses at the second heavenly layer of the law, led by Li Chun, came to find trouble with Lin Yu. If it were anyone else, they would have died on the spot. There would be no chance to reason. But this time, they were dealing with Lin Yu. Today's battle, Lin Yu didn't even explain a word. He didn't like to explain. Those who were strong enough didn't need to explain. Should I call you Sect Master Lin or Imperial Tutor of the Zither Emperor sect? Yin Xiao Xiao watched Mo Lien Tu and the others leave. But Yu Xiao Xiao, Lien Yin, and the others were still here. Then should I call you Imperial Madam or Yin Xiao Xiao? The corner of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. Yin Xiaoxiao's delicate face trembled slightly, and her expression relaxed a little. You're still as annoying as ever. She looked around. Can we talk in private? Okay. Lin Yu looked at the surrounding ruins. It seemed that there was no place for the two of them to whisper. He waved his hand. Leave. Yang Kai immediately left with the others. Li Chen was still standing in place. But at this moment, he received a message from the Sword Emperor and Sword Master Wu Xian. Li Chen's old eyes widened, thinking that the Emperor Lord wanted him to go to the Emperor Palace immediately, so the matter was probably not simple. After he left, in the guest hall, there was no one else in 1,000 feet radius except for ruins. Only Yin Xiaoxiao and Lin Yu were left. Lin Yu, I have something to ask of you. Yin Xiaoxiao's beautiful face became much gentler. Her cold expression changed. Perhaps she would only appear like this in front of Lin Yu. Lin Yu did not speak. Yin Xiaoxiao took a step forward and pulled open her right hand, revealing her flawless white wrist. However, there was an extremely thin line of blood on her wrist. This bloodline was hidden in the meridians, extending from the arm joint to the wrist, and had already merged with the meridians on Yin Xiaoxiao's wrist. Lin Yu, do you know what this is? Yin Xiaoxiao asked softly. Her beautiful eyes became much more dignified. The Blood God Curse, the most vicious cultivation technique of the Azura Emperor's sect. Lin Yu said slowly. His tone was still incomparably calm, without the slightest fluctuation of emotion. However, Yin Xiaoxiao looked at him in surprise. You even know about this? Lin Yu shrugged. During the 100,000 years he was trapped, he had once infiltrated the Azura Emperor's sect and understood the big and small matters of the Emperor's sect. But at that time, he was only in the mortal realm. He had also experienced hundreds of failures of being discovered and killed on the spot. Only then did he find a way to survive and enter the Azura Emperor's sect. Now, Lin Yu naturally did not need to be in such a sorry state, and he did not need to peek at these secrets anymore. All the secrets that were exchanged with life and death. All of them were deeply imprinted in Lin Yu's mind. Seeing Lin Yu silent, Yin Xiaoxiao's eyes were filled with tears, and she took the initiative to speak. I don't have much time. Chapter 453. I know. Lin Yu nodded. He was still curious. In the Shura Emperor sect, perhaps only your husband has the ability to force the Empress to cultivate the Blood God's curse. She nodded with a disappointed expression. He's not my husband. We're just taking what we need. Yin Xiaoxiao didn't know why. She didn't have the responsibility to explain, but when she saw Lin Yu, her heart beat violently. She didn't want to be misunderstood by Lin Yu. At that time, I had nowhere to go, so I could only rely on him. The reason why the Emperor Lord agreed to my father's marriage at the beginning, Yin Xiaoxiao paused, and a sour feeling suddenly welled up in her nose. If the floating life demonic sect hadn't been destroyed, she might still be that lively little demoness. Unfortunately, everything was gone now. He needs the floating life demonic sect's cultivation technique to perfect his Blood God's curse. Yin Xiaoxiao said truthfully, but I didn't expect that after he obtained the cultivation technique, he would also place the Blood God's curse on me. Not only me, but also the others in the Shura Emperor's sect. Lin Yu touched his chin. It seems that he has reached the peak of the law realm and wants to break through to an even higher realm. An even higher realm? Yin Xiaoxiao's beautiful eyes were confused. That's too far away from me. I don't know what he wants to do, but he placed the Blood God's curse on us and made us kill each other. I guess that the Emperor Lord is cultivating some terrifying demonic technique. Lin Yu nodded. Continue. I hope you can help me. You can ask for anything. Yin Xiaoxiao said sincerely. I just want to live, Lin Yu smiled. Asking for help from the enemy who killed your father doesn't seem like something Yin Xiaoxiao would do. Lin Yu. Yin Xiaoxiao's beautiful face was filled with anger, and tears immediately gushed out of her eyes. I know that father shouldn't have attacked the profound sect. He made the wrong decision. I also know that you were only protecting yourself at that time. I don't have the right to blame you, but I can't help but hate you because you killed my father. Yin Xiaoxiao seemed to have used up all her strength to say this. Her delicate body retreated a few steps, and she actually squatted down, curled up on the ground, and cried. Now, in front of Lin Yu, she was like a helpless little girl who had lost her loved ones. But now, the life of this little girl who only wanted to live was once again in the hands of someone else. I just want to live. Yin Xiao's sobbing could be heard. Lin Yu couldn't see her tear-stained face. He looked down at her and said calmly, "You are the celestial empress after all. If the Azura sovereign wants to cultivate the demonic arts, he won't sacrifice you." I rejected him. Yin Xiao was silent for a long time before she calmed down. When she raised her head, her teary eyes met Lin Yu's cold eyes. I rejected him many times. In the end, he flew into a rage out of humiliation. Yin Xiao gritted her teeth. I didn't want to be the celestial empress, but he wanted me to be. It was originally a deal for cultivation and survival, but now he's using my life to make me submit to him. Lin Yu's eyes didn't have the slightest ripple, which made Yin Xiao's heart hurt even more. Lin Yu said calmly, "Since you've entered the Azura sovereign sect, you should naturally submit to the sovereign lord." I know. Yin Xiao wiped her tears and looked at Lin Yu with resentment. But I already have someone in my heart. If he doesn't leave my heart, no one can enter it. Yin Xiao took a deep breath and clenched her teeth, as if she was determined to say what she said. As long as that hateful guy is in my heart, no man can enter it. Lin Yu frowned slightly, but he quickly regained his composure. Yin Xiao saw this scene. She smiled through her tears and wrapped her wrist around Lin Yu's neck. After a long while, the two of them finally separated. Yin Xiao gasped for breath. She didn't even dare to breathe heavily during the kiss just now. Now, she could feel that her heart was about to jump up to her throat. "This is my first kiss, in exchange for your emotional reaction just now." Yin Xiao pursed her lips. However, Lin Yu's lips curled up. His right hand slid over Yin Xiao's slender waist and pulled her down again. The two of them touched again. Just this alone isn't enough. When Lin Yu's voice fell, Yin Xiao wanted to resist, but her mouth was already blocked by Lin Yu. "A cup of tea, 2 cups of tea, 3 cups of tea." Lin Yu let go of her. "Bastard." Yin Xiao hurriedly retreated a dozen steps. She took a deep breath for a long time before calming down. She really felt that if Lin Yu didn't let go, she might just suffocate in his arms like this. "Are you satisfied?" Yin Xiao looked at him sorrowfully. "Do you understand my intentions?" She originally thought that Lin Yu's gaze would have more emotions for her. However, Yin Xiao was quickly disappointed. Lin Yu's gaze was still calm and cold. This was a gaze that looked down on the world and looked down on all living things. "Your technique is too bad. Next time, you have to improve a little." Lin Yu wiped the water stains on his lips and smiled faintly. He also knew that Yin Xiao had no experience, otherwise she wouldn't be so unfamiliar. Seeing the latter's shy and ashamed appearance, Lin Yu changed the topic again. "Emolian, too, is not one of your people. He's here to monitor you, right?" "Yes, there's no one in the Azura Emperor's sect that I trust." After Yin Xiao finished speaking, she hesitated for a moment. "I guess there's one, but unfortunately, her identity," she did not continue. Lin Yu had already roughly understood Yin Xiao's situation. "All right, then I'll make a trip to the Azura Emperor's sect." Yin Xiao thought that she had heard wrongly. This guy actually agreed so easily? It can't be because of that just now, right? Yin Xiao's face was red as she probed. "Those 2 moves just now were just a deposit." Lin Yu smirked. "When your blood god curse is removed, I'll ask you for the full payment." Although Yin Xiao did not understand the meaning of deposit and full payment. However, looking at Lin Yu's expression, she naturally sensed something. "So bad." Yin Xiao suppressed the thoughts in her heart and asked seriously, "Then may I ask the Zither Emperor's sect's imperial advisor, when do we set off?" Lin Yu smiled. "We can set off now." "Now?" Yin Xiao's face was filled with astonishment. "Azura Emperor's sect is a dangerous place. Are you sure you don't want to bring more people?" "No need." Lin Yu took a step forward. "I'll leave my safety to the Emperor's wife." Yin Xiao snorted lightly. Don't mention this identity again. I don't want it all, but if I don't, the Emperor will immediately kill me. He's a man with an abnormal mind. She then looked at Lin Yu. Are you sure you want to bring these people back to the Azura Emperor's sect with me? No. Lin Yu shook his head. I won't bring any of them. I alone will be enough. No way. Yin Xiao immediately objected. I can protect you with my life, but you still have to bring more people. Otherwise, it's too dangerous. But just as she finished speaking, the wrist of the blood god's veins that appeared was grabbed by Lin Yu. A wave of unparalleled tyrannical power appeared from Lin Yu's palm and surged into Yin Xiao's body. Chapter 454. This is... Yin Xiao's eyes widened. She suddenly felt that the pain caused by the blood god's curse had disappeared. Suddenly, Yin Xiao looked at Lin Yu. She remembered that back in the Shura sect, Lin Yu had once devoured the entire demon-refining blood pool. Is this the power of the Shura blood god's mark? Yin Xiao asked in shock. She was sure that Lin Yu was using the mark's power. This power could increase the strength of the Shura Emperor's sect's members. Similarly, it could suppress the Shura Emperor's sect's bloodline and secret arts. The blood god's curse was suppressed by Lin Yu's blood god's mark. 30%. The mark is still incomplete. Lin Yu said slowly as he retracted his hand. Yin Xiao felt refreshed. You're amazing. If the Shura Emperor's sect wants to touch me, they'll have to go through the blood god's mark first. Lin Yu said casually. Can we go now? Yin Xiao thought that his purpose was only for her. However, Lin Yu had a second, more important purpose. The third key hidden in the Shura Emperor's sect. The Emperor's zither. The Emperor's sword was destined to be used by him after he defeated Li Chun. As for the Azura Emperor Gate's third key, it was time for him to obtain it. Yin Xiao nodded and said obediently, I'll listen to Imperial Tutor. Since Lin Yu had such a powerful trump card, she was relieved. But when we arrive at the Shura Emperor's sect, Imperial Tutor must follow me closely. Yin Xiao didn't care about other people's gossip or even the Emperor Lord's suspicion. Since the Emperor Lord wanted to use her with the blood god's curse, Yin Xiao's deal with him could be terminated. Don't worry. I've always been reliable. I won't go with you if I'm not 100% confident. Lin Yu said confidently. In the past, he had complete confidence in everything he had done. 100%? Yin Xiao was even more surprised by Lin Yu's confidence. The latter nodded. Even if there's a 99% chance, in my opinion, it's still a gamble. Only with a 100% chance will it be the safest. Yin Xiao nodded. Thinking about the blood god's mark that could suppress the Shura Emperor Gate, she agreed. That imprint had dealt with Lin Yu that day, and at that time, Lin Yu hadn't even done anything. The Shura ancestor summoned by Lin Yu was already affected by the aura of the mark. Since the Imperial era, the Imperial Gate had existed for 10,000 years and had many ancestors. However, Blood Emperor Shura was the only primogenitor. That mark was the bloodline crystal of the Shura Blood Emperor. With the imprint in hand, the Imperial Tutor will definitely be able to protect himself. Yin Xiao relaxed, knowing that Lin Yu still had to talk to Yang Kai and the others. So she tactfully said, I'll wait for Imperial Teacher on the ship. All right. Lin Yu nodded. Yin Xiao trusted him and returned to the warship expectantly. In fact, Yin Xiao was completely unaware of Lin Yu's other trump cards. On the other side, Lin Yu sent a message to Yang Kai. Just now, Yang Kai had used the infinite sword C to build a sword chi barrier. The reception hall seemed to be open air, but in fact, no one could see what Yin Xiao and Lin Yu were doing inside. This action was not ordered by Lin Yu, but by Yang Kai himself. In this regard, Lin Yu also nodded in satisfaction. He had to admit that after this old boy's cultivation improved, he was also getting better at dealing with people. Sect Master. After Yang Kai dispersed the sword chi barrier, Lian Yin and the others also followed closely behind him. I'm going to Shura Emperor Gate, Lin Yu said lightly. His nonchalant appearance gave the others a fright. Imperial Teacher, when are we leaving? Lian Yin looked a little worried. But since Lin Yu had decided to go, she did not even ask and supported Lin Yu's decision. "No, I'll go alone this time," Lin Yu said again. "No," Lin Yin immediately retorted. "The Shura Emperor Gate is different from the Sword Emperor Gate and the Zither Emperor Gate. The people there are extremely overbearing and xenophobic. It's too dangerous for Imperial Teacher to go alone." "I know what I'm doing." Lin Yu's gaze fell on Lin Yin. "Go back and inform the Zither Emperor Gate. Also, please take care of the low-key sect, Seventh Prince." Unlike last night, Lin Yu's tone was extremely cold this time. Lin Yin did not dare to say anything more. However, the latter immediately thought of the secret conversation between Lin Yu and Yin Xiaoxiao. Could there be some unspeakable secret between Imperial Teacher and Madame Xiaoxiao? "Zhuang Tiangang, Yang Mu, you two stay here with Yang Kai," Lin Yu ordered again. Yang Mu and Zhuang Tiangang agreed at the same time. Sect Master Yang Kai was also extremely worried. With his current strength, he could go with Lin Yu. "You stay here and take care of the most important thing." Lin Yu spoke before Yang Kai could speak. "I want you to obtain the Emperor's sword and protect it well. I will need to borrow it in the future." Yang Kai was puzzled as to whether the Emperor's sword was already in Lin Yu's hands. The Heartless Sword Master's thunderous voice resounded through the sky above the Sword Emperor Gate. "Li Chun, Yang Kai, the battle 20 years ago was difficult to determine the victor. Today, this old master will allow the Zither Emperor Gate's Imperial Teacher to have another sword battle. The winner will inherit this old master's legacy and pass on the Emperor's sword." Everyone could hear his voice. Even the people from the Shura Emperor Gate on the warship frowned. The Emperor Gate's first sword will fight this sword-bearer envoy again. After 20 years, the Emperor Lord has personally ordered a rematch. Could it be that the battle 20 years ago was unfair? Since the Emperor Lord has arranged it, there must be something hidden. I find it strange. Senior Brother Yang is the Emperor Gate's first sword. Even the Emperor Lord once said that he was the person most likely to surpass him. It's a pity that it's not a pity now. The battle 20 years ago will continue today. Let's go and take a look. In front of the guest hall, Yang Kai heard the Heartless Sword Master's voice. How could he not know what had happened? Lin Yu had returned the Emperor's sword for him in exchange for a chance to take revenge. This subordinate has sinned. I didn't know that the sect master had done so much for me. Yang Kai knelt on the ground and bowed deeply to Lin Yu. "I won't watch the last battle," Lin Yu said slowly. "Raise your head." Yang Kai's eyes met his. Lin Yu smiled. "Very good. If it was the current you, you wouldn't have lost." After saying that, he stepped into the air and boarded the Shura Emperor Gate's warship. Yin Xiaoxiao had already arranged everything. Many people bowed and greeted Lin Yu when he appeared. "Welcome, Imperial Teacher of the Zither Emperor Gate." Just because of his identity, the people from the Shura Emperor Gate didn't dare to do anything to him. "Uncle Yang and Li Chen's battle. Don't you want to watch it before you leave?" Yin Xiaoxiao asked. She didn't want Lin Yu to miss this battle. "We still have a lot of time." Chapter 455. There's no need. I already know the result. Lin Yu's words showed his absolute trust. Hearing this, Yin Xiaoxiao also smiled. This guy was not only confident in himself, but also in his subordinates. The Shura Emperor sect's battleship slowly left the Sword Emperor sect. Yang Kai knelt in the direction Lin Yu left. Yang Kai stood up only after Lin Yu had completely disappeared from the Sword Emperor sect star field. But now his old eyes were drowned in tears. From now on, this old man will only respect the sect master. Yang Kai looked out of Broken Sword Cliff and saw Li Chen's murderous sword chi soaring into the sky. "Take care, sect master. Yang Kai will be here soon." Yang Kai took a deep breath. Around his body, countless sword chi soared into the sky. He turned into a sea of swords and descended on Broken Sword Cliff. In the starry sky, Mo Yin too was still staring at Lin Yu. Mo Yin Yin's body was not cold yet, but the person who killed his son was actually Yang Kai. Lin Yu was not the one who did it, and Lin Yu deliberately did not let Yang Kai come with him. Mo Yin too also guessed that Yang Kai did not want to give him a chance to take revenge. On the contrary, not only was Lin Yu not the murderer, but he was also almost injured by Mo Lien Yun Yi's sneak attack. He was also the victim. Mo Lien, too, gritted his teeth and hid in the cabin. He could only secretly watch Lin Yu, clenching his fists, but he could not do anything. This boy is young and seems harmless to humans and animals. But every step he takes is extremely cautious. He doesn't even give anyone a chance to find a flaw. However, Mo Lien too knew that once he saw Lin Yu's flaw, he would deliberately let you see it. His son was the best example. Lin Yu deliberately showed a flaw in his mind to lure him to attack. If this boy is not eliminated, he will become the biggest obstacle to the Emperor Lord dominating the star field today. Mo Lien too had already convicted Lin Yu of more than 100 crimes. As soon as he returned to the Sure Emperor's sect, the first thing he did was to find the Emperor Lord and report Lin Yu. "General, what's wrong?" Suddenly, a voice broke Mo Lien too's contemplation. He raised his head, and his vision suddenly turned black. It was the figure of a young man standing in front of him. "Lin Yu, great general, what are you thinking about that makes you so lost in thought?" Lin Yu smirked. "Could it be that you're thinking of complaining to the Emperor Lord after you return to the Azure Emperor Gate?" His smile only made Mo Lien too feel gloomy and terrifying. In addition, he spoke out Mo Lien too's thoughts. "No, I've never thought of it that way." Mo Lien too swallowed his saliva. His old face twitched, and his back was cold. This was not a teenager. This kid gave Mo Lien too a feeling more terrifying than facing the Emperor Lord. This old man is an upright person. Why would I do something like poking at someone's backbone? That's good. I thought the great general was going to report to the Emperor Lord. It seems that I'm misunderstood. Lin Yu grinned brightly, but it doesn't matter if you report. Great general, remember to mention the 100,000 soldiers. They died in my low-profile sect because of the great general's orders. My low-profile sect spent 1 trillion Yao baht to give them a grand funeral. Sure Emperor sect still has to pay this funeral fee. This was killing people, and he still wanted to cheat them of their money. This was killing people's hearts. Mo Lien too was about to curse. But Lin Yu had already turned around and returned to the deck with Yin Xiaoxiao. He did not care about Mo Lien too's face, which was about to vomit blood. 100,000 soldiers. This old man almost forgot about the weakness of the 100,000 soldiers. Mo Lien too suppressed his surging qi and blood. How could he not understand that Lin Yu was warning him? If you want to hurt him 1,000 times, you have to hurt yourself 800 times. What did you say to the great general? Yin Xiaoxiao asked softly. She did not do it deliberately, but Lin Yu kept a certain distance from her. Where was the rude bad guy from before? However, Yin Xiaoxiao's heart warmed when she saw this. She knew that Lin Yu was protecting her reputation. After all, she was still the Emperor Lord's wife. If people who did not know the truth saw her and Lin Yu being so intimate, they would definitely gossip. "I told him not to tell the Emperor Lord our secret," Lin Yu said casually. Yin Xiaoxiao frowned. "What's our secret?" She immediately thought of the 2 times she and Lin Yu had just done, and her face turned red. Lin Yu looked at her blushing face. Which man could stand this? Fortunately, he had experienced a few things between men and women in his life, so he had some self-control. He quickly changed the topic and said, "If you want to remove the blood god curse, I'm afraid you can only rely on the rainbow blood lotus." Yin Xiaoxiao's delicate body froze, and she immediately walked out of the feelings of a young girl in love. She nodded and replied, "That's right. The Emperor Lord used the rainbow blood lotus as a reward and placed it on the blood god C for us to compete fairly." After hearing this, Lin Yu guessed some things that Yin Xiaoxiao did not know. "I can't fight them alone, so I want to ask for your help." Yin Xiaoxiao continued, "This is a public rule. You can ask for help in this battle for the lotus." "I understand." Lin Yu nodded and smiled. Yin Xiaoxiao took the initiative to tell him a lot of information that she knew. However, this information did not have much effect on Lin Yu. This was because Lin Yu already knew most of the Azure Emperor sect's secrets like the back of his hand. The starry sky rippled like a pitch-black and mysterious ocean. Yin Xiaoxiao stood beside Lin Yu. Lin Yu kept a distance from her. However, Yin Xiaoxiao wanted to take a step closer to him all the time. She wanted to smell this man's unique scent. She wanted to hear him say things that only bad people would say. It would be great if we didn't have identities. Yin Xiaoxiao's eyes were filled with confusion and helplessness. In this starry sky, there were too many open and covert struggles. There were too many scruples. As long as one was here, one had to follow the rules. She could not break the rules, nor could she be with Lin Yu regardless of her own safety. Even if she was willing, as the sect master of the low-key sect, who was growing stronger by the day and was now the spokesperson of the Zither Emperor's sect, the state preceptor, he could not easily pull away. Lin Yu remained silent. Yin Xiaoxiao cast aside her thoughts. It was useless to think about the future. She closed her eyes and felt the peace by Lin Yu's side. Perhaps this was the peace she had not felt since she lost her father. Lin Yu, who was beside her, thought of the other people from the low-key sect. Previously, when he had brought the low-key sect from the inner region to the Emperor's sect star field. First, he had sent Qin Ji, Lu Wuhan, Long Lin, and the others to the Divine Will Emperor sect. Then, he had sent Qin Wenyan, Night King, Yi Mingyu, and the others to the Ghost sect. He had planted spies for his future plans. Judging from the time, these people should have sneaked into the two Emperor's sects. Lin Yu, who had been trapped for 100,000 years, knew deeply that personal combat strength did not mean everything. He wanted to scheme against this world and be the person who pushed the era behind the scenes. He needed all the information and knew all the secrets. He had to ensure that every step he took would not go wrong. After Lin Yu left, inside the Sword Emperor sect, Yang Kai's face was covered in blood. In the sky, it seemed that the clouds had been affected by the sword chi battle. At this moment, it was raining. Chapter 456. Yang Kai let the rain fall on his body, motionless. The blood behind him was washed away by the rain, and, at his feet, it was Li Qin's corpse. As the rain fell, the blood around Li Qin's corpse turned into a stream. The blood was brought into the broken sword cliff by the rain and slowly flowed down. Yang Kai looked at all of this. 20 years, he murmured. The sharp blade that had been stabbed in his heart for 20 years. The mother who killed his wife, Yang Qing. The one who destroyed his Tao foundation and almost made his cultivation stop at the invincible realm forever. The murderer who took away all the glory that belonged to him. Li Chun. He had died under his sword Tao. The rain became heavier and heavier, enveloping the entire Sword Emperor sect. The Sword Emperor sect, which had experienced 2 great battles, seemed to be washing away all the blood with the rain. Above the broken sword cliff, the heartless sword master stood with his hands behind his back. His gaze also shifted from Yang Kai to the heavy rain in the sky. Lin Yu, maybe you were right. Although he had always valued utility, at this moment, at the moment when Yang Kai took revenge, the burden on his shoulders seemed to have been lifted. The heartless sword master lowered his head. His tired and old gaze fell on Yang Kai. In the name of the Sword Emperor sect's Emperor sect, this old man commands the Sword Emperor sect, the inner territory, the outer territory, and the thousands of sects and clans. The heartless sword master's thunderous voice spread throughout the Sword Emperor sect. The hearts of millions of disciples and millions of mortals trembled as they listened to the second thunderous voice. The first sword of the Emperor sect is in the past. Today, Yang Kai bears the Emperor sword and is the Emperor sect's Emperor sect master. As soon as these words came out, it was as if thunder had exploded in everyone's mind. The first sword of the Emperor sect was in the past. Now, the new Emperor sect master of the Sword Emperor sect had appeared. The heartless sword master raised his hand. The starry sky outside the Sword Emperor sect seemed to have sensed his will. A wooden sword hilt appeared from the starry sky and instantly teleported. When it appeared, it was already floating in front of Yang Kai. Yang Kai was silent, looking at the Emperor sword in front of him. This was the supreme glory of a sword cultivator. But when this glory was placed in front of him, Yang Kai's eyes became even more determined. Swordmaster, I still have some unfulfilled wishes. I'm afraid I can't accept this great responsibility. As soon as he said this, The million disciples outside the broken sword cliff were all stunned. However, the heartless sword master just let out a long sigh, as if he had already guessed that Yang Kai would say this. With one step, he appeared in front of Kai Yang. "You're going to find Lin Yu?" An aged voice sounded. The voice of the heartless sword master was not as powerful as it was when he was conferred the title. Right now, in front of Kai Yang, it was just an old master who was talking to his disciple. Yang Kai nodded. He didn't say anything. However, his expression was more resolute than any words. He remembered what Lin Yu had said about the Tao. No one was truly alive. It wasn't because he cared about what others thought of him, but because he was firm in his own Tao. In the past, my path was to take revenge on Li Chun. Now, the headmaster is my path. Kai Yang turned around to leave. The heartless sword master hurriedly stopped him. "Why do you think he asked you to stay?" Pausing, Kai Yang wrinkled his brow. "Disciple does not know." The heartless sword master let out a long sigh. In the past, this old man had respected him the most. Unfortunately, someone else had changed. The heartless sword master knew that he had been replaced by Lin Yu in Kai Yang's heart, and there was no change at all. Lin Yu was the only one who could make him stay. He went to the Azura Emperor's sect alone, not because he didn't want anyone to help him. The heartless sword master shook his head and sighed. It's because no one can help him on the path he wants to take. After listening, Kai Yang's body trembled. "Do you think that you can help Lin Yu just because you have stepped into the sixth realm of the Sword Tao, the second heavenly layer of the laws?" The heartless sword master patted Kai Yang's shoulder. "The path he wants to take is more difficult than you think. The current you can't help him." The voice entered Kai Yang's ears, and every sentence made him feel as if he was sitting on pins and needles. "When you were in seclusion, Lin Yu and this old man made a deal." A smile appeared on the heartless sword master's old face. "Now, follow me. This old man wants to complete this deal." Naturally, he was lying. The deal between Lin Yu and him was only about returning the Emperor's sword and fighting Kai Yang again. However, the heartless sword master had felt guilty for 20 years because of today's battle. The heavens and earth no longer wish for Master to stay. Let Master be your master once more. After the heartless sword master finished speaking, he pointed at Kai Yang's body. After the battle, Kai Yang was not at his peak. At this moment, he was even more defenseless. Under this finger, he immediately felt a piercing pain in his divine sense. Immediately, Kai Yang's vision turned black and he fainted. There was still a huge difference in strength between a second heavenly layer of the laws and an Emperor Master. Holding the Emperor's sword in his hand, this old man, who had always had a fierce expression, smiled for the first time. "Old friend, I've made you suffer for 20 years. It's time for you to return to your true master." On the other side of the star field, the Azura Emperor Sect's warship had already sailed into another star field. Here, black clouds filled the sky, as if it could rain at any time. However, there was no rain at all. Instead, the world below was abnormally hot. Lin Yu looked down. Thousands of feet below the warship was a sea of blood. The edge of this sea of blood could not be seen, as if this was the only sea in this world. When Lin Yu arrived, he felt the change in breathing. At this moment, he could smell a burning sensation with every breath. It was the smell of blood, but it did not have any stench. Instead, it was a pure blood energy. "Are you used to it?" Yin Xiaoxiao asked worriedly. She naturally did not know that Lin Yu was already very familiar with this place. He nodded casually in response. Yin Xiaoxiao was relieved. The warship continued to descend. On the sea of blood, there were countless islands floating. The warship stopped in front of a huge island. "I'll arrange for you to stay. How about it? It's next to my palace. So convenient for me. Aren't you afraid of being gossiped about?" Lin Yu deliberately teased. Yin Xiaoxiao looked over unhappily and snorted, "No, I'll only be at ease if you stay by my side." "Oh." Lin Yu smiled. Yin Xiaoxiao reminded him, "That's right. I can only protect you here. There's still time before the battle for the demonic lotus. Don't run around during this time." After that, the two saw that Mo Yin too had already come down from the warship, so they walked down together. Many people's eyes were filled with surprise. This time, Mo Lien Tu and Madame Xiao Xiao went out to pick up Mo Lien Yunyi. But why did Mo Lien Tu look like his son had died? Did they fail? Mo Lien Tu did not say anything, but took his people and left the place where the warship was docked. Soon, the rest of the people's eyes fell on Lin Yu. What a handsome man. Why haven't I seen this person before? He's not from our Shura Emperor sect. Why can he be so close to Madame Xiao Xiao? I've never seen Madame Xiao Xiao so close to any man. This is not right. Chapter 457. Looks like there's no need for Mo Lien Tu to snitch. Your husband will know about this soon. Lin Yu shrugged. He felt that there was nothing wrong with his identity, but the private matters between him and Yin Xiao Xiao were strange. If he had known, he wouldn't have kissed her. Lin Yu pondered. Yin Xiao Xiao didn't turn around, but her bright eyes glanced over. It doesn't matter. Someone will find out sooner or later. Lin Yu's face twitched, and he blinked his eyes. Could it be that this girl wanted to accuse him of stealing someone else's wife? What are you thinking? I said that I'm the Empress in name only. This matter will be found out sooner or later. At that time, they will understand. Yin Xiao Xiao smiled faintly, giving off a charming vibe. However, they still kept a distance as they walked. Although it attracted other people's guesses, it was only limited to guesses. Yin Xiao Xiao brought Lin Yu to a quiet courtyard. Imperial tutor, you can stay here temporarily. She then pointed to the house next door, which was adjacent to this courtyard. I live there. Lin Yu looked over. Yin Xiao Xiao didn't stay in the magnificent palace of the Shura Emperor's sect. Her residence was also a small courtyard. It was hard to imagine that the empress of an emperor's sect would be so simple. Lin Yu thought that Yin Xiao Xiao was just like what she said. She didn't want to be the empress. Unfortunately, she was hit by the blood god curse and couldn't escape unscathed. He nodded and didn't pay much attention to the other places that Yin Xiao Xiao introduced. After all, everything here was no different from what he remembered in the past 100,000 years. At this moment, in another corner, a head quietly peeked in Lin Yu's direction. In the dark corner, a pair of bright eyes were secretly looking at Lin Yu. Lin Yu smiled. Yin Xiao Xiao couldn't detect this person, but she couldn't hide from him. An interesting person appeared. Lin Yu thought and glanced at the corner. The peeking eyes were extremely vigilant and immediately shrank back into the darkness. It's late. I'll leave first. You should rest early. Yin Xiao Xiao bowed and returned to her room after saying that. As for the maidservant who had been following her along the way, she had also left her behind. The Zither Emperor's sect's Imperial Preceptor has just arrived at our Emperor's sect and is an honored guest of our Azura Emperor's sect. You all stay here to protect the Imperial Preceptor and satisfy him. Yin Xiao Xiao exhorted again and again. Remember, don't let anyone disturb the Grand Tutor. If anyone neglects the guest, I'll definitely punish them severely. Yes. The 10 maidservants responded at the same time. After sending Yin Xiao Xiao off, they bowed to Lin Yu and obediently arranged for 6 people to stand outside the courtyard. The other 4 followed Lin Yu in and rearranged the place where Lin Yu slept. Looking at the clean and tidy room, Lin Yu smiled faintly. He also felt that the environment was extremely comfortable. This place was arranged by the Celestial Empress. Lin Yu suddenly spoke. The 4 maidservants trembled at the same time. The leader of the maidservants seemed to be the oldest, but she was only 20 years old. She immediately bowed to Lin Yu and replied, Grand Tutor, this is the place where the Celestial Empress relaxes. Everything here was arranged by the Celestial Empress herself. The peach blossom trees outside were also planted by the Celestial Empress. Lin Yu nodded and smiled. He looked at the blossoming peach blossom trees outside the courtyard and said, The Celestial Empress is so relaxed and elegant. The maidservants saw that although Lin Yu's status was noble, his tone was extremely gentle and polite. They had a good impression of him. The leader of the maidservants smiled faintly and said, The Celestial Empress often comes here to take care of these peach blossom trees. I also often see... The maidservant wanted to say something, but stopped. This aroused Lin Yu's curiosity. Continue. Hearing this, the maidservants thought that they had said something wrong. All four of them knelt down. I deserve to die. I deserve to die. The bedroom was silent. Only the kneeling maidservants were left. It had to be said that although Yin Xiaoxiao's maidservants were not as beautiful as Yin Xiaoxiao, they were much prettier compared to ordinary women. Get up. Lin Yu deliberately softened his tone. In reality, he had only said a few words without any emotion. But to these maidservants who were usually frightened by their superiors, it was already an extremely terrifying thing. Everyone trembled with fear. But the leader of the maidservants was helped up by Lin Yu. The former was too afraid to raise her head. I'm not a bad person, Lin Yu said helplessly. He released a beam of glorious energy from his hand and injected it into the maidservant's body. She felt a warm aura invading her body. This aura traveled through her 8 extraordinary meridians and immediately calmed her panicked emotions. As for the others, they stood up obediently when they saw this. The maidservant still felt warm. Even her face felt a little hot. She bowed to Lin Yu. Her heartbeat quickened, but she had no choice but to tell the truth. It's just that I often see the Empress staring blankly at the peach blossom trees. It's like, how could she dare to only tell half the story this time? It's like she's counting the number of peach blossoms on the trees. Lin Yu suddenly let go of her hand and looked at the garden full of peach blossoms. Which one is she counting? The maidservant shook her head and said again, all of them. The Empress always counts all the peach blossom trees. Her words rang out. In Lin Yu's eyes, the reflections of more than 30 peach blossom trees seemed to cause great waves in his heart. He remembered that during the 100,000 years he was trapped, when he knew that he could not escape the predicament of being reset, he had thought of death. Because of his undying body, he had lived more than 30 million times. In the 1,000th year, Lin Yu had counted all the flowers on a mountain. The cycle repeated day after day. Later, when he knew that mountain like the back of his hand, he saw the wind-moon tree in the southern land. Lin Yu remembered that at that time, he had used a few resets and succeeded in tricking one of the Wind-Moon 5 fairies, Tian X and in ascending him to the top of the wind-moon tree in the mortal realm. At that time, Tian X and thought that he was crazy, but no one understood Lin Yu. At that time, he was just filled with despair about life. He seemed to be alive, but in reality, he was just a living dead. So he understood Yin Xiaoxiao. He understood how lonely Yin Xiaoxiao was when she was counting the peach blossoms. Did this servant say something wrong? The maidservant asked softly when she saw Lin Yu staring at the peach blossom trees in the courtyard. No. Lin Yu retracted his gaze and sighed softly. He suddenly understood why Yin Xiaoxiao's emotions were so unstable when she saw him. He had lost the little demoness of the demon sect of bliss. She desperately needed someone she could trust. Lin Yu suddenly felt guilty. Whether or not he had stopped more killings by killing Yin Daosheng, it was still a great blow to Yin Xiaoxiao. You may leave, Lin Yu said when he saw that they had already tidied up their rooms. Chapter 458. The maidservants bowed. We will live in the side courtyard, and will take turns to protect the Imperial Preceptor. If the Imperial Preceptor has any instructions, you can summon us. Seeing that Lin Yu nodded, these people didn't say anything else. They bowed and left. Moonlight descended. There were still 2 maidservants guarding the door outside the courtyard. Lin Yu knew that this was Yin Xiaoxiao's order. However, if he encountered a real crisis, these maidservants would probably be useless. Lin Yu stopped thinking about these trivial matters and looked out the window. The snow-white moonlight shone into the bedroom through the screen window. It was cut into bits and pieces by the wooden bars on the screen window. The peach blossoms rustled in the night wind, as if they were dancing with the bright moon as their companion. Lin Yu retracted his gaze. In the endless years of reset, he was like Yin Xiaoxiao. He had once been melancholic and despair of life. Now that he met such a person again, Lin Yu seemed to have resonated with her. Unfortunately, the sound of the maidservant falling to the ground broke Lin Yu's thoughts. He sighed softly. He had thought that everything would not be so simple after coming to the Shura Emperor's sect. He just did not expect trouble to come so soon. Lin Yu lay down and pretended to be asleep. At this moment, the door was slowly opened, and the clear sound of what being knocked could be heard. A delicate voice stepped into the room and approached Lin Yu like a dragonfly skimming the water. "You're quite handsome, and your cultivation is at the supreme realm. So weak. Did sister-in-law bring you back because you're good-looking?" The person seemed to have arrived beside Lin Yu's bed and muttered to herself. It was a woman's voice. "So it's you." Lin Yu had already guessed who it was. The woman quietly approached Lin Yu and seemed to be sizing him up. However, suddenly, Lin Yu's closed eyes opened. Seeing this, the woman's movement technique was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, she was already at the door. In a short blink of an eye, his strength seemed to be no longer beneath that dead, ghostly Chun. The newcomer actually possessed the cultivation of the third layer of the laws. "Luo Xiaochen, since you're here, are you willing to leave without clarifying things?" Lin Yu sat up and said calmly. Lin Yu didn't make any move to stop her, but his words made the woman who was running away at the door stop in her tracks. She looked at Lin Yu in shock. Lin Yu raised his head and met the eyes of the girl who was staring at him. His feet shifted, and he instantly appeared in front of Lin Yu. In the area where she was originally standing, the wind brought by her footsteps had not yet blown away, but she had already arrived in front of Lin Yu. "How do you know me?" Luo Xiaochen's big eyes stared at Lin Yu warily. This woman looked like Lin Yu, about 15 or 16 years old. The 3,000 strands of black hair on her head were split into two and tied into two braids. Her delicate and pretty face still had a childish air to it, but one could already see the delicate outline of her face. However, unlike Yin Xiao and the others, this girl's face lacked some charm. On the contrary, she was even more lively and adorable than those girls who were not even 10 years old. Who would have thought that such a harmless girl would actually possess the cultivation of the third layer of the laws? "Azura Emperor Lord's sister, I've naturally heard of you." Lin Yu stood up. He was 2 heads taller than Luo Xiaochen, so he lowered his head and looked down at her. "Don't put on that surprised look. I should be the one asking you first. What are you trying to do by breaking into a man's bedroom in the middle of the night? You're so weak. Are you really the imperial advisor of the Zither Emperor sect?" Luo Xiaochen blinked her eyes. Seeing Lin Yu nod his head, she was unconvinced that the other party had seen through her identity first. She snorted coldly and said, "I can go anywhere in the Azura Emperor sect if I want to. Who dares to stop me?" Lin Yu smiled. This girl was telling the truth. He spread out his hands. Azura Emperor sect's cultivation genius is hard to come by in 10,000 years. Of course, I have such courage. Of course. Luo Xiaochen felt that she had won back a loss. She raised her chin and looked at Lin Yu suspiciously. "I've never seen sister-in-law bring a man back. You're still young, but you think a lot." Lin Yu pressed his hand on her head. Luo Xiaochen would not give in. As she moved, her entire body emitted fluctuations of the laws. However, Lin Yu's lips also curled up. Although his movement technique was not as good as Luo Xiaochen's, it was as if he had predicted the direction she was going to escape and made him move first. "Good girl." Lin Yu smiled and grabbed one of Luo Xiaochen's ponytails with his right hand. He played with Luo Xiaochen's beautiful hair, not caring at all about the latter's shocked gaze. Luo Xiaochen gritted her teeth. How could she be convinced? She raised her wrist and struck out at Lin Yu. The latter helplessly let go of her. His other hand flashed with golden light, and the 3 elements combined into one to meet Luo Xiaochen's attack. The 2 of them did not release their power, but instead used their inner strength to exchange blows. If not for this small courtyard would have been reduced to ashes, and at the same time, it would have attracted the attention of everyone in the Azura Emperor sect. When their palms met, Lin Yu's face wrinkled slightly, and he retreated a few steps. However, Luo Xiaochen took advantage of this opportunity to dodge and once again widened the distance between them. "I'm more familiar with shadow displacement than you are." The corner of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. He took the initiative and once again predicted Luo Xiaochen's retreat path. "You can't run away." Lin Yu once again grabbed her ponytail. Impossible. Luo Xiaoqin's bell-like voice sounded. How do you know how to run away with my shadow displacement? You told me when we were making friends in the past. Lin Yu thought in his heart, and said with a smile, to be able to become the imperial advisor of the Zither Emperor's sect, how can you not have some ability? This was the first time Luo Xiaoqin was at a disadvantage in terms of movement technique. However, Lin Yu's speed was not as fast as his, but he could know his direction in advance. Shadow displacement was a curved movement technique, but Lin Yu had already moved in a straight line, so he could naturally be faster than Luo Xiaoqin by a breath. In this kind of exchange between experts, one breath was enough for Lin Yu to suppress his opponent. That's enough, Lin Yu said impatiently. Luo Xiaoqin snorted coldly. All right, you win today. She had never admitted defeat, but in front of Lin Yu, the movement technique that she was most proud of had actually lost completely. She could only unwillingly admit defeat. I originally thought that you were just an embroidered pillow brought back by sister-in-law, because you were good-looking. I didn't expect you to have some ability. After Lin Yu heard this, his face twitched. But in the next moment, Luo Xiaoqin seemed to have sensed something. She pulled on Lin Yu's sleeve with her jade-like hands and sized up Lin Yu with her bright eyes. You're practicing 3 elements as one? Yes. Lin Yu nodded. If there were only a few people in the starry sky who could see his 3 elements as one, Luo Xiaoqin was definitely one of them. This was because this girl's talent in cultivation was simply too high, and she was even a top young expert on the blacklist. How did you train? After hearing Lin Yu's answer, Luo Xiaoqin revealed a face full of curiosity. Lin Yu knew that this girl was used to being lawless in the Azura Emperor sect, and had retained her most primitive childishness and heart. After all, with her importance to the Azura Emperor sect, no one dared to offend her. You want to learn? Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. Chapter 459. Luo Xiaoqin hurriedly nodded. Of course I do. I've tried 300 different methods, but I still can't reach the level of 3-in-1. How did you do it? Luo Xiaoqin was originally curious to see what the person Yin Xiao brought back looked like. However, after exchanging blows with Lin Yu, her curiosity was out of control. 3-in-1. No wonder you're stronger than me, even though you're only at the Grand Supreme stage. Luo Xiaoqin was envious. You can learn it if you want, but it's a bit difficult. It's a long story. It's fine. Since sister-in-law brought you here, you must be here to participate in the battle for the Rainbow Blood Lotus. You'll be staying here for a few more days. That's not necessarily true. Maybe I'll be killed before the battle even starts. Lin Yu said with a face full of fear. Luo Xiaoqin frowned. If the other servants of the Shura Emperor's sect saw this, they would know that Luo Xiaoqin was releasing her killing intent and wanted to kill someone. I'll kill whoever dares to touch you. Cough. Lin Yu shook his head. No. He purposely used a tone that Luo Xiaoqin liked and continued. Fighting and killing will affect the cultivation of 3-in-1. Look at how amiable I am. No wonder I can't cultivate it. Luo Xiaoqin nodded, thinking that Lin Yu's words made sense. What else? Lin Yu raised his hand and touched Luo Xiaoqin's head. He had to admit that this girl's hair was very smooth. He could feel Luo Xiaoqin's vigorous vitality just by touching her hair. Also, you have to learn to be obedient. Cultivate 3-in-1 and be careful with every step. You have to be completely obedient. You can't make a single mistake. Lin Yu said seriously, looking like he was trying his best to persuade her. Luo Xiaoqin blinked her bright eyes and directly knelt down in front of Lin Yu. I, Luo Xiaoqin, have never admired anyone in my life, but I admire people who can cultivate 3-in-1. Imperial Advisor Lin Yu, can you accept me as your disciple? Looking at Luo Xiaoqin's sincere eyes, Lin Yu sighed. I never accept disciples. Master, what will it take for you to accept me? Tears welled up in Luo Xiaoqin's eyes. Lin Yu shook his head. The most important thing for cultivating the 3 elements merge realm is to listen to me and have a firm will. How can you cultivate if you cry so casually? Although he didn't accept any disciples. However, Lin Yu knew that he already had enough weight in Luo Xiaoqin's heart. After all, in this starry sky, he knew that this was probably the only person who had cultivated the three elemental fusion realm. Master is right. Master is right. Luo Xiaochen quickly wiped away her tears. Lin Yu continued, "It's fate that I take in disciples. It's not that I can't make an exception, but you still have to observe for a period of time. I have to see if you have the qualifications to be my disciple." If other people were present, they would definitely think that Lin Yu was crazy. A Grand Supreme actually dared to speak to a peak third-layer law realm expert in such a manner? What was this if not courting death? However, in Luo Xiaochen's eyes, Lin Yu's action was equivalent to an incomparably tall giant rewarding her with a chance. "Master, I have a chance to become your disciple." Luo Xiaochen quickly cowed out. "Xiaochen will definitely work hard." Lin Yu nodded with a smile and helped Luo Xiaochen up. "In the future, in front of outsiders, you don't have to bow to me, but it's still necessary to be obedient." Luo Xiaochen nodded. Lin Yu said again, "Lie down first and untie your belt. As the first test, I want to see if your body is suitable for cultivating the three elements merge realm." "Okay." Luo Xiaochen lay flat on Lin Yu's bed. "Master, don't worry. Xiaochen's body is very healthy. Master, sister-in-law's room smells very good." Luo Xiaochen stuck out her tongue. "State Preceptor, my sister-in-law has never brought a man back. She must have told you about her situation." Lin Yu pressed his right hand on Luo Xiaochen's body. Yao Qi emanated as he slowly walked around her body, but he didn't reply. Although he didn't touch Luo Xiaochen didn't reject Lin Yu's actions at all. Thus, Luo Xiaochen continued, "Although sister-in-law's bringing you back has attracted a lot of criticism, I know that my big brother emperor is also in the wrong." Luo Xiaochen seemed to be talking to herself. He clearly knows that sister-in-law doesn't like him at all, but he still insists on keeping her here. As the saying goes, a forcibly picked melon won't be sweet. Lin Yu's face twitched. "Girl, you're still young, but you know a lot." "Of course." Luo Xiaochen smiled proudly. "I also know that they've never slept together. Sister-in-law isn't willing, and brother is obsessed with cultivation. For the sake of martial arts, he can sacrifice anyone, including me. If I were sister-in-law, I wouldn't like him either." Lin Yu coughed dryly. He felt that he wouldn't be able to clear his name no matter what he said now. But soon, Luo Xiaochen felt her whole body burning up. Divine sense in normal state, metal and fire attributes, straightforward and explosive temperament, upright and plain-spoken. Lin Yu's hand was placed on Luo Xiaochen's head, and now it was moving down. "Good combat constitution. You've eaten a lot of supplements since young. Your breathing is stable. 37, 22, 36. Not bad. You're a good seedling." For some reason, Luo Xiaochen felt her face burning. Lin Yu clearly looked very serious, but she started to feel a little shy. "Master is so conscientious in checking me. I can't take it the wrong way. That would be letting down Master's good intentions." Lin Yu's hand continued moving down. "Your cultivation is strong. Peak third firmament of laws. Your three laws complement each other, and there's no sign of rejection." "Very good." At this moment, Luo Xiaochen's whole body was burning up unbearably. Fortunately, Lin Yu released his hand at this moment. "There's no trace of the blood god curse. It seems that you haven't been hit yet, or perhaps Emperor Shura doesn't have the guts to attack you." Lin Yu thought to himself and continued, "The inspection is complete. You can put on the belt now." After saying that, he withdrew his hand from Luo Xiaochen's body. "Really?" Luo Xiaochen sat up excitedly, put on her clothes, and grabbed Lin Yu's hand excitedly. "Master, can I cultivate the three essences in one now?" This was the first time she had met someone who had learned the three essences in one. Luo Xiaochen knew that if she missed out on Lin Yu, she might never meet a second genius like him in her life. Luo Xiaochen felt that this might be the feeling of appreciation between geniuses. "No rush." Lin Yu smiled and said, "The hardware passed. As for the software," Luo Xiaochen was puzzled and blinked her big eyes. "Master, what is software?" "Well, software is your temperament, character, and so on." Lin Yu coughed dryly and cleared his throat. He said seriously, "Whether the software is good or not depends on whether you listen to me or not." "Yes, Xiaochen will definitely listen to you." "All right then. Listen carefully and remember what I'm going to say next." Chapter 460. Lin Yu had unknowingly returned to his old profession. After being trapped for 100,000 years, he was used to this kind of trick. "I'll make 3 rules with you first. If you're willing to listen, I'll continue to test whether you're qualified to be my disciple." "Okay, master, please tell me." "I'll definitely obey." "First, I've always kept a low profile, so you can't tell others that we know each other. Even if we meet, you still have to pretend that you don't know me in front of outsiders." "Yes, master." Luo Xiaochen bowed and nodded. "Second, my teachings are secret and can't be taught to outsiders. So, you can't tell anyone what I've said to you. If you leak it, you'll be disqualified immediately." Luo Xiaochen's pretty face tensed up, and her expression became more serious. She nodded, afraid that she would make a mistake. "Don't worry, master. I'll keep it a secret. Third, when necessary, you have to ensure master's safety." Lin Yu touched his chin. "After all, master only knows how to cultivate the 3 elements as one, but I don't like to fight. Once you fight, master will easily break the precepts." "Break the precepts?" At first, Luo Xiaochen thought that Lin Yu was a monk, but he clearly had hair. Thinking deeper, Luo Xiaochen's eyes turned, and she immediately remembered that in the ancient books of the Shura Emperor's sect, the real experts were all above karma. Master doesn't fight because he's afraid of getting involved in karma. That's too amazing. Luo Xiaochen admired Lin Yu even more. She nodded and promised, "Disciple understands. Disciple is very good at fighting. I'll definitely protect master. If anyone dares to make master break the precepts, disciple will definitely turn them into ashes." Lin Yu softly nodded. Luo Xiaochen quickly realized that she had said something wrong. "Master, don't worry. Even if disciple stands up for master, I won't mention master's name. You're worth teaching." Lin Yu nodded with satisfaction. "Go back. After you pass the inspection, I'll teach you officially. Now, just do the 3 things I told you to do." After listening, Luo Xiaochen could not suppress the joy on her face as she nodded her head in excitement. Her 2 pigtails bounced as she bowed to Lin Yu and left the small courtyard. Lin Yu came to the door. Luo Xiaochen's extremely fast movement technique had already disappeared into the night. He looked at his left hand and felt a sharp pain. He had been injured when he exchanged blows with Luo Xiaochen. On the day I was trapped for 100,000 years, Luo Xiaochen had just stepped into the 3rd firmament of laws, but now, not long after, she has already reached the late stage of the 3rd firmament. Lin Yu also chuckled. He circulated his blood and qi to heal his injuries. Fortunately, they didn't really fight. That girl already has the power of an emperor. Fortunately, I still have my 100,000 years of power. Lin Yu smiled faintly. Luo Xiaochen could be considered to be of use to him now. However, Lin Yu still felt that things would become more and more interesting. The stronger Luo Xiaochen is, the easier it will be for the Shura Emperor's throne to be shaken. I don't know when he will be unable to resist using the Blood God curse on Luo Xiaochen, although he had not yet. However, Lin Yu knew that on the surface, the Shura Emperor was Luo Xiaochen's biological brother. In fact, they were only half-siblings. They were not as close as one would imagine. He will make a move eventually. Lin Yu judged that since he dared to make a move on Yin Xiaoxiao, the victim was not only Yin Xiaoxiao. Perhaps the 3 great generals, the best carriers of the Blood God curse, had already been targeted by the Shura Emperor. Lin Yu took 2 blankets and covered the guard maidservant who had been knocked out by Luo Xiaochen. Then he fell asleep. When the sky brightened, Lin Yu stretched and immediately felt refreshed. Now that my power has reached a state of abundance, it's time to break through. Lin Yu touched his chin. At this time, the maidservant's surprised voice came from outside the door. He naturally knew why. When he opened the door, he saw the maidservants looking at him worriedly. "I'm fine." Yesterday's incident, he did not know how to explain Luo Xiaochen to these people, so he just casually said, "Don't mention yesterday's incident again." Otherwise, the empress will definitely blame you. He also warned them. When a maidservant saw that Lin Yu was fine, that was the best result. They did not dare to say anything more. After they agreed in unison, Yin Xiaoxiao also came. Today, Yin Xiaoxiao had changed into a plain dress. It was as if she had returned to the appearance of a young girl when she first met Lin Yu. She had lost some of the majesty of the empress, but had gained some vitality. State Preceptor, you woke up so early? Yin Xiaoxiao said softly. She had brought a lot of breakfast behind her. I remember that State Preceptor has a habit of eating breakfast, so I prepared some. After saying that, the two sat down in the courtyard. The peach blossoms bloomed and occasionally withered. Lin Yu swallowed a mouthful of food. I didn't expect your people to be so good at cooking, he praised. Before Yin Xiaoxiao could say anything, the maidservant behind her saw such a beautiful scene and could not help but blurt out, "That was made by the empress herself." "Shut up." Yin Xiaoxiao frowned and interrupted her. Seeing this, the maidservant was so frightened that she immediately knelt down. "What's there to be shy about? You made it yourself." Lin Yu still had food in his mouth. He stuttered and teased Yin Xiaoxiao. "You should swallow first." Yin Xiaoxiao glanced at him unhappily. Her jade-like hand held a handkerchief and wiped the juice from the corner of Lin Yu's mouth. "You can leave now," Yin Xiaoxiao ordered. The maidservants immediately left the courtyard. Then, Yin Xiaoxiao said with a smile, "Who would have thought that the state preceptor who commands the emperor's gate would eat like a child? Aren't men always children?" Lin Yu spread his hands. After finishing his breakfast, he said, "Where is the rainbow blood lotus now?" Yin Xiaoxiao chuckled when she saw how serious he was. "You're really concerned about this matter. After all, I'm in a hurry to get the final payment." Lin Yu looked at Yin Xiaoxiao with an aggressive gaze. The latter was so frightened that she withdrew her hand. However, that delicate and charming appearance made Lin Yu feel that it was more delicious than the food on the table. Hee, so the state preceptor is eating with the empress. Did we come at the wrong time? Outside the courtyard, Yin too had not yet arrived, but his rough, thunderous voice had already broken the silence at this moment. Yin Xiaoxiao frowned and stood up. She pulled herself away from Lin Yu's gentleness and said coldly, "Great General, you came early in the morning. Don't disturb my distinguished guest." "Understand. The Empress wants to invite the state preceptor to fight in the battle for the demonic lotus." Yin laughed. At the same time, his gaze fell on Lin Yu. He cupped his fists and said, "It's just that the state preceptor is a rising figure of the Emperor's Gate and also from the Zither Emperor's Gate. We old fellows of the Emperor's Gate naturally have to come and greet the state preceptor." Chapter 461. Finished. Yin too sighed, stood a position. Behind him, impressively, stood a middle-aged man. This man was tall and sturdy. Although he did not have the huge battle body of the Tang Emperor clan Saint Kuei, his entire body was filled with killing intent, making people respect him even more than the Saint Kuei. "I greet the Zither Emperor's sect's imperial advisor." The man cupped his fists and said. His voice was deep and thick, and as he spoke, the vertical scar on his face also moved. Yin Xiaoxiao's delicate face turned serious. She did not expect Yin too to come looking for trouble so quickly, and he even brought a troublesome person with him. The second of the three great generals of the Azura Emperor's sect, General Xinzhong, has personally arrived. Suddenly, the youth's calm voice came from behind Yin Xiaoxiao. He had just finished his breakfast, and when faced with the arrival of two great generals, he slowly raised his teacup. Lin Yu took a few sips of tea before continuing. "This seat has failed to welcome you. I just don't know if the boss has come, so that I can see the glory of the three great generals." This seemingly simple scene had already caused Yin too's heart to tighten. Not only him, Xinzhong was the same. However, his expression remained unchanged as he asked, "Does the imperial advisor recognize me?" It was not difficult for Lin Yu to know Xinzhong's name. However, Lin Yu had never seen him before. Without even looking at him, he directly called out Xinzhong's name. It was as if he already knew the other party's appearance. Those who can recognize General Shin's face, other than the Azura Emperor's sect, the other Emperor's sects have probably all died at General Shin's hands. Lin Yu remained as unmoving as a mountain. His words sounded like he was praising the other party, but secretly made Shen Zhong feel even more surprised that Lin Yu recognized him. Fortunately, I'm not bad. I've heard some things about General Shun from the mouths of the living. Hee, I didn't expect the Imperial Advisor to be so well informed. Emolian too also took a step forward and said with a smile, "My brother Shin just returned from the demon cave of the Outer Realm. When he found out that the Imperial Advisor was here to participate in the battle for the Demon Lotus, he couldn't help but want to meet the Imperial Advisor. I had no choice but to bring him here." Lin Yu's eyes flashed imperceptibly when he heard about the demon's den in the outer region. General Shun seems to be injured. That's strange. The Outer Realm is just a barbarian land. There aren't many people with powerful cultivation. How could someone injure General Shun? Lin Yu said calmly as he put down the teacup in his hand. This appearance, indifferent, led Mo Lien to unfathomable. However, Shun Zhong's heart tightened. He thought that he had hidden it very well. No one could tell that he was injured from his appearance or even his aura. What was the background of this Zither Emperor's imperial tutor? How could he have such terrifying insight? General Shun, why aren't you saying anything? Lin Yu broke Shun Zhong's train of thought. Seeing this, Yin Xiao realized that she couldn't get a word in. How could Lin Yu display such a terrifying aura in such an unfamiliar environment? In these few words, it was as if he was the host of the Azura Emperor's sect, and Mo Lien Tu and Shun Zhong were just outsiders. In front of Lin Yu, they had repeatedly made a fool of themselves. I'm just curious. The scar on Shun Zhong's face twitched as he suppressed the shock in his heart. I wonder why the Imperial Tutor thinks that I am injured. Half of Heiyu's power comes from my Nirvana fruit. How could I not see it? Lin Yu thought in his heart, but his mouth said, I guessed. He judged that Heiyu's progress was not bad. However, if Shin Zhong did not dare to reveal his injuries, it meant that even a second-layer Law Realm expert like Shin Zhong would not be able to take down the demon's den. Therefore, in order not to lose face, he concealed his injuries. Lin Yu's guess immediately made Shin Zhong feel as if he had eaten a loss, not knowing how to respond. Mo Yin, too, who was behind him, naturally did not understand what was going on with this old man. What injuries are you talking about? He complained to Shin Zhong in a low voice. I only asked you to come here to find a reason to beat up Lin Yu. Why are you still chatting? Shin Zhong also knew his own bitterness. He originally thought that he was just a small figure in name only, swaggering through the city with the title of Zither Emperor's Sect's Imperial Tutor. Therefore, even if he was injured, he thought that he could handle it. But now, from Shun Zhong's point of view, Lin Yu was able to see through his situation. This kid was not simple. Is he really only at the grand stage? Shun Zhong asked, Can't you see it yourself? However, he is indeed more powerful than other grand stage experts. Emolian too also replied with a sound transmission. Brother Shun, I have something on Lin Yu, so I can't do it myself. I'll have to rely on you to vent my anger. Shin Zhong's face twitched, and he swallowed his saliva, just as he was about to say that he might as well test it out again. However, Emolian too had already spoken first. I have heard that the Zither Emperor's Sect's Imperial Tutor's battle prowess is extremely high. My brother Shin Zhong has just returned, and he is itching to exchange a few blows with the Imperial Tutor. Shin Zhong even had the heart to greet Mo Lien Tu's mother. Now that he was already feeling guilty because of Lin Yu's words, couldn't he wait a little longer? I wonder if the Imperial Tutor can give me some face. There was still a smile on Mo Lien Tu's face, and he didn't care about Shun Zhong's gloomy face at all. Yin Xiao, who was on the opposite side, immediately stood up. The Imperial Tutor has to focus on the battle for the Demon Lotus. As for the great general sparring, let's talk about it later. That would be for the best. Shin Zhong thought in his heart, but before he could speak, Mo Yin too took a step forward. Imperial Empress's words are wrong. General Shun and I will also participate in the battle. We can stop here. His gaze fell on Lin Yu, and he said with a smile that was not a smile, "The Imperial Tutor killed so many people in the Sword Emperor's sect. Why is it that in the gentle village of the Imperial Empress, he has no blood?" General Mo Yin, please pay attention to your words. Yin Xiaoxiao's face was ugly. I have already said that the Imperial Tutor needs to conserve his energy. Let's talk about the sparring later. Sigh. Mo Yin too shook his head and sighed softly. He looked disappointed, but his face was staring at Lin Yu, full of sarcasm. Shenzhong also saw that it seemed that today's sparring was not going to happen. He thought in his heart, is it just a kid in the Grand Supreme realm? Could it be that he was overthinking things when he saw that frighteningly calm insight? Shenzhong, who thought that Lin Yu was easy to bully, immediately agreed with Mo Yin too and laughed. Since the Imperial Tutor is afraid of the battle, then I have to go back with disappointment today. Yin Xiaoxiao was worried that Lin Yu would be provoked by them, so she immediately turned back and pressed Lin Yu's hand. However, the latter spoke before she could. Wait. Yin Xiaoxiao's heart tightened. Oh no, Lin Yu is fool. Mo Yin too and Shenzhong looked at each other and smiled. When they turned back to beat up Lin Yu, they saw that the latter was still drinking tea. Instead, in the distance, two braids flew over at an amazing speed. Chapter 462. Luo Xiaoqin's speed was terrifyingly fast. Just a moment ago, she was still far away, but in the blink of an eye, Shenzhong and Mo Yin too had already appeared in front of them. Greetings, Prince Chun. Shenzhong and Mo Yin too were both surprised and secretly had a bad feeling, because they knew that Luo Xiaoqin and Yin Xiaoxiao had a good relationship. At this moment, Luo Xiaoqin appeared at this time, where could be a good thing. Luo Xiaoqin's beautiful eyes first landed on Lin Yu, but she quickly hid it, because she remembered that her master said that she could not expose her relationship with him. Her master was too low-key. Hello, sister-in-law. First, he bowed to Yin Xiaoxiao and greeted her. The latter also bowed back. What are you doing here? Luo Xiaoqin then stared at Mo Yin Tu and Mo Yin Tuesday this. Reporting to Prince Chun. Mo Yin Tu's old face twitched. This old official heard that the Zither Emperor's sect Imperial Tutor is here, so I came with Brother Shun. I thought that since you were a guest, you should at least greet the Imperial Tutor. Shenzhong was a little surprised. After all, Luo Xiaoqin was a member of the Emperor's sect. Why would Mo Yin Tu hide his true intentions? Even if Luo Xiaoqin knew that they were here to cause trouble for Lin Yu, so what? Could it be that Luo Xiaoqin would punish the two of them for Lin Yu, who is the great general? How could this king not know? Luo Xiaoqin's cold voice sounded. She did not look at Lin Yu the entire time. When this scene fell into Shenzhong's eyes, he immediately remembered Luo Xiaoqin's character. Domineering, xenophobic, terrifyingly talented, and arrogant. This was the label of this Prince Chun. Thinking of this, Shenzhong clenched his fists and said with a smile, Prince Chun, Brother Mo Yin is indeed only here to greet the Zither Emperor's sect Imperial Tutor. I only heard that the new Imperial Tutor of the Zither Emperor's sect had a brilliant record in the Sword Emperor's sect's Sword Dao Conference, so I wanted to find the Imperial Tutor to spar with him. Shenzhong was sure that Luo Xiaoqin did not like anyone to be strong in front of her. She was a headstrong girl. Therefore, Shenzhong deliberately praised Lin Yu, but in fact, it was a type of flattery. Seeing this, a trace of anger flashed in Luo Xiaoqin's beautiful eyes. As expected, someone wanted to bully Master. But Master clearly didn't do anything. Yet these people came looking for trouble. It was too abominable. Luo Xiaoqin glanced at Lin Yu. Shenzhong thought that his flattery had succeeded and continued. It's a pity that the state preceptor hid his strength and was unwilling to exchange a few blows with me. This old official can only return in defeat. After saying that, Shenzhong let out a long sigh, looking disappointed. Mo Yin Tu next to him was also an old fox. How could he not see Shenzhong's intentions? He was trying to get someone else to do the dirty work. If Prince Chun made a move, it would definitely be more fun than if Shenzhong made a move. Because of Luo Xiaoqin's battle prowess and status, if she really fought with Lin Yu, in that case, Lin Yu's death would only be more miserable. Thinking of this, Mo Lien too immediately echoed. This old official thinks that the imperial advisor has a high status and is the #1 person under the Zither Emperor. Naturally, he disdains to fight with this old official. His old eyes turned, and he raised his head to peek at Luo Xiaoqin. In this old official's opinion, Lin Yu boasts of being superior to others. Perhaps even Prince Chun is in his eyes. After saying that, Shun Zhong glanced at Mo Yin Tu and cast a look of admiration. The older the ginger, the spicier it is. Brother Mo Yin's poisonous scheme is really much better than mine. The knot in their hearts had been planted, and now they could only wait for Luo Xiaoqin's reaction. Behind the two of them, Yin Xiaoxiao's heart tightened. How could she not see through their scheme? She immediately took a step forward and whispered to Luo Xiaoqin, "Prince, don't misunderstand. The state preceptor is the helper I invited to participate in the battle for the 7-colored blood lotus. In fact, before the state preceptor arrived, he had already had a series of fierce battles in the Sword Emperor sect. His strength is still not at his peak. If he agrees to General Shun Zhong's spar, I'm afraid it will affect his performance in the battle." Luo Xiaoqin blinked her beautiful eyes a few times, sizing up the relationship between Yin Xiaoxiao and Lin Yu. She did not dare to look at Lin Yu for too long, afraid that someone would recognize her relationship with him. However, when she looked at Yin Xiaoxiao, the latter's concerned look, coupled with the fact that she was protecting Lin Yu, made her certain of one thing. Sister-in-law had never treated brother like this before. It seemed like the person she truly liked was her master. Empress, could it be that Brother Xinzhong does not need to use his strength to spar? Mo Yin too saw that Luo Xiaoqin did not speak, and was afraid that today's good show would be evaded by Yin Xiaoxiao. He immediately put on a look of indignation for Shun Zhong. My brother Shun has also just returned from a mission. He is also not at his peak. He has only heard of the state preceptor's name, so he personally came to spar with sincerity. After saying that, Mo Lien too shook his head. Could it be that one of our Azura Emperor sect's 3 great generals is so unimpressive? Yin Xiaoxiao wanted to scold him. How could this old fox turn her into a victim with just a few words? Mo Yin Yun's corpse had not yet turned cold, but he was in a hurry to find Lin Yu for revenge. This kind of person was too vengeful and was also a difficult opponent. Lin Yu did not have as many thoughts as Yin Xiaoxiao. Instead, he burst out laughing. State preceptor, Mo Yin Tu's face twitched. Show some respect. Even Yin Xiaoxiao did not know how to smooth things over for a moment. I'm sorry. Lin Yu waved his hand. I have only been the state preceptor of the Zither Emperor sect for a few days, and the 3 great generals of the Azura Emperor sect have heard of my name for a long time. They even couldn't help but come up to spar with me. Mo Yin Tu's face was gloomy, and so was Xinzhong. Lin Yu looked at Luo Xiaoqin again. I have also heard of Prince Qin's name for a long time. Luo Xiaoqin saw her master bowing to her. How could she accept it? She immediately bowed twice. State preceptor is too polite, disciple. This king is flattered. Yin Xiaoxiao and the other 2 saw Luo Xiaoqin's appearance. They immediately felt strange in their hearts. Something was wrong. Normally, if Prince Chun saw an outsider like Lin Yu, he would definitely come to spar with him. After all, Luo Xiaoqin's talent was unparalleled, and she was also addicted to battle. Naturally, they did not know that Luo Xiaoqin had already come to find Lin Yu yesterday, and the 2 of them had also sparred. However, the result was different from what they had imagined. The invincible Luo Xiaoqin had been defeated by Lin Yu this time, and had even been subdued as his disciple. Lin Yu coughed dryly. This girl was a bit obvious. He still wanted to use Luo Xiaoqin as his second trump card in the Azura Emperor sect, other than the Azura Blood God imprint. The 2 great generals came to find trouble with this state preceptor early in the morning. Since Prince Chun is here, you ask Prince Chun to uphold justice. What should we do about this matter? Lin Yu said indifferently. Mo Yin Tu and Shun Zhong sneered in their hearts. Was this fool courting death? If he did not agree to spar, then so be it. But he actually dared to reason with Luo Xiaochen. Prince Chun of the Azura Emperor sect was the most unreasonable. Everyone in the Emperor sect's starfield knew this. What should we do? Since General Shun said that he was itching for a fight. After hearing this, Luo Xiaochen felt that her master must be deliberately testing her. She did not have a better idea at the moment. It was impossible for her master to make a move. Then why don't this king and the great general exchange pointers? Chapter 463. Xinzhong was still looking forward to Luo Xiaochen dealing with Linyu. But when Luo Xiaochen said this, he and Mo Yin too suddenly thought that they had heard wrong. What was going on? Sparring with Prince Chun? Prince, don't joke. Xinzhong's hair stood on end. This prince is a man of his word. Who is joking with you? Luo Xiaochen's face was already a little ugly. This was a test given to her by her master. These two people actually dared to say that she was joking. Xinzhong's eyes widened. Not joking? He even had the heart to die. Why did the situation become so strange? But before he could react, his shoulder was suddenly grabbed by a slender jade hand. The speed and strength of this hand completely exceeded Xinzhong's understanding. Before he could react, the world in front of him had begun to spin. The rushing wind whistled in his ears. Bang! Xinzhong only felt pain all over his body. His whole body had been smashed to the ground. Great General, fight well. Luo Xiaochen's voice came. She was afraid that Xinzhong's performance would not be good and affect her performance. But when this voice entered Xinzhong's mind, it was like a signal to take his life. Prince, I was wrong. Whoosh! A hand grabbed his foot again. That was Luo Xiaochen's hand. The terrifying power of the third layer of law instantly gathered in her hand, and Luo Xiaochen threw it out of the courtyard. Everyone only saw Xinzhong become an arrow flying into the distance. After a long while, they finally heard a huge rumbling sound. Bang, bang, bang. Yin Xiaoxiao was stunned there. She knew that this girl was overbearing and unreasonable, but most of the time, she was not fighting with Linyu, but beat Xinzhong like this. On the other side, Mo Yin Tu's entire back was soaked in cold sweat. He carefully heard a sound, and Xinzhong flew away with Luo Xiaochen's 3 law attacks. More than a dozen palaces were directly destroyed. Now Xinzhong was estimated to be half dead. How was this a sparring? This was Prince Chun going to kill someone. This old servant was wrong. With a plop, Mo Yin Tu knelt down, and the old minister's mouth also dropped to an old servant. Seems like I used too much force. Luo Xiaochen looked at the ruins in the distance and blinked. Forget it. It doesn't matter. General Mo Yin, do you also want to spar with this king? Luo Xiaochen's childish voice sounded. But in Mo Yin Tu's ears, this voice was even more terrifying than the Emperor Lord's. This old servant doesn't dare. This old servant doesn't dare. Mo Yin Tu kept kowtowing. If you're not here to spar, then what are you doing here? Luo Xiaochen asked deliberately. She knew that she had to satisfy her master so that she could pass the test. This old servant was just passing by. Mo Yin Tu braced himself to make up a reason. No. Luo Xiaochen shook her head. This old servant is here to greet the imperial tutor. Luo Xiaochen shook her head again. I heard that you were the one who sent the imperial tutor here yesterday. Mo Yin Tu wanted to die. This old servant, after thinking for a long time, the aura of death had already descended upon him. Xinzhong's experience was still fresh in his mind. Mo Yin Tu's eyes flashed. This old servant is here to return the money. Return the money? Luo Xiaochen's bright eyes blinked. What money? Mo Yin Tu saw that she had restrained her murderous aura for a while, and had a feeling of surviving a disaster. He immediately wiped the beads of sweat on his forehead and smiled. A few days ago, this old servant owed the imperial tutor some money. Today, I'm here to return the money. Touching her chin, Luo Xiaochen smiled. This reason is good. She estimated that her master would also be satisfied. Since you're here to return the money, then go quickly. Hearing this, Mo Yin Tu immediately walked to Lin Yu. Imperial tutor, the money I owed you last time, this old man is here to return it. He took out 10 billion Yao baht from the storage ring. Mo Yin Tu put it into Lin Yu's storage ring. What is the general doing? Lin Yu looked puzzled. Mo Yin Tu was afraid that he would expose his purpose and complain to Luo Shaochen. Immediately whispered to Lin Yu, "Isn't this the burial fee that the imperial tutor mentioned yesterday?" Huh. After Mo Yin Tu smiled, he didn't expect Lin Yu to slap the table in front of him. But obviously, he didn't really exert his strength. The leftover food on the table was still there. Lin Yu wouldn't hit Yin Xiao so hard early in the morning. But this scene also fell into the hands of Yin Xiao and Luo Shaochen. Master is angry. It's over. Luo Shaochen wanted to kill someone. Not only Luo Shaochen had a reaction, but Mo Yin Tu's legs shook violently. Imperial tutor, what are you doing? Is the general giving interest today? Lin Yu said coldly, and in front of Mo Yin Tu's puzzled face, he continued, I spent a full trillion for your people's burial. A trillion? A trillion? Are you a robber? Mo Yin Tu really wanted to kill Lin Yu now, but today's situation was not right. He guessed that Luo Shaochen had always had a good relationship with Yin Xiao. Could it be that Yin Xiao knew early on that he would come to find trouble, so she asked Luo Shaochen to come forward? But a trillion Yao baht, this was asking for his life? The general doesn't seem to be here to pay back the money. Lin Yu sipped the teacup in his hand. He didn't actually do anything during the whole process. But the situation in front of him had been developing in a favorable direction. Yes, this old man is indeed here to pay back the money. Mo Yin Tu broke out in cold sweat. Yes, I'm here to pay back the money. Then hurry up. Lin Yu's tone was obviously impatient. Although at that time, the low-key sect just casually burned those corpses and didn't spend much money. But how much Yao baht was spent, he had the final say. Now in front of Mo Yin Tu, there was a creditor with a face full of reason to collect debts. This old man, I don't have that much for the time being. Mo Yin Tu's old face twitched and his heart bled. He took out 500 billion Yao baht from his storage ring. This is all this old man's savings. Before his voice fell, all the Yao baht had been sucked away by Lin Yu. Before Mo Yin Tu could recover, Lin Yu continued, When do you want to pay back the rest of the money, General? Don't you have any sympathy at all? Mo Yin Tu cursed in his heart. But he didn't expect that Lin Yu wasn't the only one without sympathy. Luo Shaochen sighed. The general came to pay back the money but didn't bring enough money. This matter is indeed your fault. Mo Yin Tu only felt that the whole world was full of malice towards him. This old slave will get the money as soon as possible. Mo Yin Tu was ready to leave. If the general really can't come up with the money, Lin Yu suddenly spoke again. Not only Mo Yin Tu, but even Yin Xiao and Luo Shaochen thought that Lin Yu was going to sympathize with the other party and plan to settle this account directly. Chapter 464. You can ask the other 3 generals and crowdfund it. Lin Yu took a sip of water, waved his hand, and stopped talking. Crowdfund. Mo Yin Tu's old face was extremely ugly. He bowed to Lin Yu and Luo Shaochen and left without looking back. Remember, if you disturb sister-in-law's peace again, I won't let you leave with your limbs intact next time. Luo Shaochen warned. She was extremely smart. In one sentence, she made the reason for this attack to protect Yin Xiao. This made Mo Yin Tu unable to suspect the relationship between Lin Yu and Luo Shaochen. This old servant obeys. After Mo Yin Tu left. Seeing this, Luo Shaochen also looked at Lin Yu, but she didn't dare to expose her relationship with Lin Yu. She shifted her attention to Yin Xiao, sister-in-law. If there's nothing else, I'll leave first. Okay, thank you for today. Yin Xiao bowed to see the guest out, and at the same time, asked the maids to wait outside. When only Lin Yu and Yin Xiao were left in the courtyard, the latter sat down with a painful expression. Beads of sweat appeared on Yin Xiaoxiao's forehead as she endured the pain. The blood god curse seems to be very deep in your body. Lin Yu's voice came. Yin Xiaoxiao bit her lower lip and endured the pain. I'm already used to it. She closed her eyes and turned away, not daring to let Lin Yu see it. Yin Xiaoxiao didn't expect the blood god curse to break out at this time. Now, she could only let the blood god curse corrode her body, but she had no way to resist. Since she was forced to cultivate this thing, it could make her power increase rapidly. However, the side effect was the heart-wrenching torture day and night. But this thing was linked to her cultivation. If Yin Xiaoxiao used her cultivation to resist, it would only make the pain more intense. Lin Yu saw her appearance and put his right hand around her waist. Give me your mouth. Yin Xiaoxiao shook her head, knowing what he meant. I don't want you to waste too much of the blood god's imprint. She had rejected Shen Zhong's provocation on behalf of Lin Yu because she didn't want Lin Yu to consume too much energy before the battle. This wasn't a lie. It's all right. Lin Yu grabbed her hand that was trying to break free. Only Lin Yu knew that it was to use the Shura blood god's mark, especially something like the blood god's curse. Not only would it not consume the power of the mark, but it would also increase his power. Blood Emperor Shura had relied on the blood god's mark to cultivate. Yin Xiaoxiao blushed, but Lin Yu stopped her from speaking. The maidservants outside the courtyard all felt their hearts beat faster. Although all of them had their backs facing Lin Yu and Yin Xiaoxiao, they were all women and they knew what kind of situation Yin Xiaoxiao was making. After a long while, when Lin Yu saw that Yin Xiaoxiao's pain had subsided, he released her. So annoying. Yin Xiaoxiao hurriedly wiped the thing that Lin Yu had left on her mouth. However, there was a seductive look on her face, as if she had not had enough. You won't be able to hold on for long, Lin Yu judged. His calm face made Yin Xiaoxiao bite her lips subconsciously. This guy was still as heartless as before. However, she still said seriously, I know. That's why the 7-colored blood lotus is my last hope. But Yin Xiaoxiao's beautiful eyes became serious. The 3 generals are the same as me. They also cultivate the blood god's curse. We will definitely have to face them this time. Thinking of the scene just now, Yin Xiaoxiao felt lucky. Fortunately, Shen Zhong is seriously injured and his fighting power is greatly reduced. This is good news for us. Lin Yu nodded, but he didn't say anything. Although it seemed casual, Lin Yu asked meaningfully, do you really think the 7-colored blood lotus can dissolve your blood god's curse? Isn't it? Yin Xiaoxiao's heart tightened. That's what the emperor said. She suddenly had a bad premonition. Could it be that he has deceived all of us? You'll have to wait until you see the demonic lotus to know the truth. Lin Yu smiled faintly. He knew that it was meaningless to talk about other things now. All right, tomorrow at noon, the Outer Sky Island competition will begin. Follow me closely. If there's anything you can't handle, we will. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. What will we do? Yin Xiaoxiao's bright eyes flashed with determination. Your life is the most important thing. If there's any danger, we will run. Makes sense. Lin Yu nodded. Don't worry. Of course, he wouldn't let Yin Xiaoxiao know that he had another purpose tomorrow. Yin Xiaoxiao didn't dare to stay here for too long. After reminding Lin Yu again, she returned to her residence. Although she relied more and more on Lin Yu, they still had to keep a distance from each other. And Lin Yu's cold attitude. Yin Xiaoxiao knew that he had taken root in her heart. However, Lin Yu didn't care about her. He was a bad guy who didn't like any woman easily. However, it was easier for women to fall in love with such a person. Yin Xiaoxiao returned to her residence, but she couldn't help thinking about the 3rd time with Lin Yu. However, at this time, the sky was getting dark. Under the setting sun, Lin Yu's courtyard was supposed to be very comfortable under the peach blossoms. However, at this time, a middle-aged man's figure appeared. His appearance was soundless. There was no sign at all, and no one had noticed his appearance in advance. Inside and outside of Lin Yu's courtyard, the maidservants didn't even have time to react to the appearance of the man. Instead, time and space around them seemed to freeze. All the maids were motionless. Space and time law, Lin Yu smirked. You're ruining my mood. His face was still as calm as ever. The middle-aged man was incomparably handsome and had strength comparable to Lin Yu. However, the strength he displayed was the peak of the third level of the law realm. It was the true space and time law. Are you the person in her heart? The middle-aged man asked slowly. He seemed to be asking a question, but between the lines, there was an unparalleled majesty. I don't know. Lin Yu gently shook the teacup in his hand and stared at the slowly rotating tea. He wasn't qualified to answer this question. The only person who was qualified to answer was perhaps Yin Xiaoxiao herself. If I kill you, will she put me in her heart? The middle-aged man sat down in front of Lin Yu. He was dressed in an emperor's robe and wore an emperor's crown. He sat down and grabbed with his hand, forming a teacup. The law of creation from nothing. The man poured himself a cup of tea, and the two sat there facing each other. Lin Yu shook his head lightly. No. As soon as these words came out, the space around the man in the emperor's robe distorted. Chapter 465. Why? His voice was hoarse, but the warning in his tone was obvious. If Lin Yu said anything wrong, he wouldn't mind killing him now. Who can predict a woman's heart? Lin Yu sighed softly. Everything in the world can be forced, except love. The man in the imperial robe narrowed his eyes. What if I force you? You should know that no one can stop me. He displayed the powerful majesty of an emperor. However, Lin Yu was still unaffected. Of all the words in the world, only the word love hurts the most. The word love hurts the most. The man in the imperial robe took a deep breath. After murmuring, his eyes met Lin Yu's. Aren't you afraid of me? Why should I be afraid? Lin Yu asked. He put down his teacup. I've seen Empress Zither and Empress Sword. I think their strength is not inferior to Emperor Shura. The person in front of him was the current emperor of the Shura Emperor sect, Emperor Shura, Luo Ming. I didn't expect there to be another person with such courage at such a young age besides the second on the blacklist. Luo Ming narrowed his eyes, trying to see through Lin Yu's depth, but very quickly he returned without any success. Calm and indifferent. There were no flaws, nor were there any edges or corners that were revealed. In front of him, it was as if there was only a ball of unfathomable fog. What's the relationship between you and Emperor Xiao? Luo Ming asked again. Nothing. Lin Yu shook his head. He didn't look at Luo Ming's gaze. Instead, he looked at the peach blossoms in the garden. The peach blossoms had withered a lot because of Luo Ming's domineering fluctuations. Perhaps this was the reason why Luo Ming couldn't enter Yin Xiaoxiao's heart. Then I'm relieved, Luo Ming said again. In front of him, where Lin Yu was, space and time cracked. The entire space distorted like a mirror, and it could shatter at any time. And what would shatter next would be Lin Yu's body. Stop. At this moment, a beautiful figure was already standing outside the courtyard. That beautiful figure worriedly walked in front of Lin Yu. Luo Ming had no choice but to withdraw his law. Are you okay? Yin Xiaoxiao's eyes were filled with tears. She had thought that if she had been a little later, Lin Yu would have died in Luo Ying's hands. I'm fine. Lin Yu shook his head. You're my empress. Luo Ming slowly said in a low voice. Although he did not erupt with anger, it was clear that he was temporarily restraining himself. You know, I don't want this identity. But we want you. Luo Ming interrupted her. When you can't stand the pain of the blood god's heart being devoured, you will willingly submit to us. Yin Xiaoxiao shook her head, her eyes resolute. When I get the 7-colored blood lotus and break the blood god curse, I will leave this place. What if you can't get it? Luo Ming said through gritted teeth. He was only in his early 30s. As Yin Xiaoxiao had said, even though he was the ruler of a star field, he was still like a child in front of a woman, competing with Lin Yu for her affection. Unfortunately, what he faced was a trace of determination flashing across Yin Xiaoxiao's lips. In the courtyard, peach blossoms swayed and fell. Yin Xiaoxiao glanced at Lin Yu. Then I will return the position of empress to you and die here. Enough. Luo Ming stood up, and the azure blood sea suddenly surged. You don't have to go in. We can break the blood god curse immediately. Luo Ming wanted to give Yin Xiao one last chance. His gaze was fixed on Lin Yu. We only want him to die. If he dies, I die. Luo Ming only heard Yin Xiao's resolute words. She did not hesitate at all. She did not even have time to think. From the moment Lin Yu agreed to come to the Azura Emperor sect alone to help her, protecting this bad guy in front of her seemed to have become something imprinted in Yin Xiao's bones. We understand. Luo Ming took a few steps back, and his figure had already disappeared from the courtyard. At the same time, the space-time restriction on the maidservants was broken. They looked at each other in shock, not knowing what had happened. However, in the courtyard, Lin Yu spat out a mouthful of blood. Just now, Luo Ming really wanted to kill him. If Yin Xiao had not come, Lin Yu would have already activated the Azura blood god mark and fought with Luo Ming. But now, he looked at the girl who was hugging him tightly. He could only raise his hand and pat her thin, jade-like back. You're injured. We can't go in, Yin Xiao said resolutely. I'm fine, Lin Yu said indifferently. No, Yin Xiao shook her head. I was wrong. He won't let me go. Once we go in, I will kill you. She was still too naive. She thought that Luo Ming would really give her a chance to be reborn. However, it was obvious that Lin Yu had almost died in front of Luo Ming just now. Yin Xiao was not a fool. She knew that even if Lin Yu really helped her get the demonic lotus, he would not be able to escape death when the time came. Okay, we won't go. Lin Yu knew that he could not persuade her. This lass was no longer the frivolous little demoness she used to be. Now, she was even more certain of what she wanted. She was no longer swayed by the lies that Lin Yu had told her during the 100,000 years he was trapped. Lin Yu was helped into the bedroom by Yin Xiao. She circulated her cultivation to treat Lin Yu's injuries. In the end, she was exhausted and lay in Lin Yu's arms. Can I sleep here for a while? Yin Xiao's weak voice was heard. The snow-like moonlight shone into the two of them. Lin Yu nodded softly. Yin Xiao had already closed her eyes, enjoying the peace in her heart that she had not felt for a long time. Peach blossoms flew in through the window. Lin Yu did not move at all. After Yin Xiao fell asleep, he sat up alone. He placed the beauty in his arms on the bed and walked out of the courtyard alone. Over there, Luo Xiaochen was already waiting for him. Master! Luo Xiaochen half knelt down. After Lin Yu helped her up, she immediately asked, Did my brother come? Lin Yu nodded. Luo Xiaochen immediately felt that something was wrong. Does my brother want to kill you? Lin Yu smiled and did not say anything. Luo Xiaochen quickly said, Don't worry, master. I won't let my brother hurt you. I can protect you. No. Lin Yu shook his head and touched Luo Xiaochen's braids. This is between your brother and me. You can't interfere. However, Luo Xiaochen was still worried. Although her master was the only person who had cultivated the three elements into one. After all, he was only in the Grand Supreme Realm. She believed that when Lin Yu stepped into the Law Realm, he would be invincible in the universe. However, it did not seem to be enough now. Lin Yu naturally knew what Luo Xiaochen was thinking. Heaven Island has opened. I want you to protect Yin Xiao here and wait for me to come back. Sister-in-law, Luo Xiaochen spat. No, Sister Xiao likes you, master. I can't call her sister-in-law anymore. Chapter 466. But master, the outer sky island will open tomorrow. Are you going alone? Luo Xiaochen asked worriedly. Lin Yu nodded gently. Yes. No, it's too dangerous. Luo Xiaochen immediately objected. Although she had only known Lin Yu for a day, Luo Xiaochen sincerely admired Lin Yu's talent. Moreover, she and Yin Xiao had been in the same room with Lin Yu before. However, Lin Yu had no ill intentions toward the two of them. This was his character. Luo Xiaochen had already decided that her master was a good person. Are you not going to listen to me? Lin Yu glanced at her. No, master's words will be engraved in my heart. Luo Xiaochen immediately shook her head and admitted her mistake. Then listen to me. She won't wake up for a while. Even if she wakes up, don't let her out. Lin Yu reminded her. Wait for me to come back. He displayed great confidence. This made Luo Xiaochen feel more at ease. It seemed that her master was a steady person. The three of them spent the entire night in the dormitory. However, Lin Yu let Luo Xiaochen and Yin Xiaoxiao sleep on the bed. He cultivated on the ground. The power of Luo Ming's law was mostly dissolved by Yin Xiaoxiao. However, the remaining power was absorbed by the Azura blood god mark. The complicated mark appeared on Lin Yu's palm. If I want to dissolve the blood god curse, I need at least 2/3 of it. Lin Yu judged. The current blood god mark only had 1/3 of its power. This was because there were a total of 3 demon refining blood pools in the Azura Emperor sect. It was a drop of blood essence left behind by the Azura blood emperor back then. It was divided into 3 parts by his descendants. Later, these 3 parts of blood essence formed the blood pool. The first blood pool was in the Azura sect, and Lin Yu had already refined the mark. The second one was in the Outer Sky Island. Lin Yu stretched and immediately felt energetic. It's time to break through. Lin Yu left the courtyard. They came to an open space. In his impression, no one would come here. At that moment, he seemed to be mumbling to himself. The aura of his cultivation base appeared behind him as he sat down cross-legged and circulated the 3 nascent essences into one. It directly formed a cyclone around Lin Yu. Rumble. The power of the Exalted surged through Lin Yu's 8 extraordinary meridians. This breakthrough was not difficult at all. This was because Lin Yu's glory energy had been stuck at this level for a long time and had long reached an extremely abundant state. At this moment, success was just a matter of time. After the storm disappeared, Lin Yu slowly opened his eyes. Luo Ming helped me one last time. His cultivation had reached the 600th Dao realm of the Grand Supreme Realm. The realm of laws is both power and shackles. Lin Yu sighed. Comprehending the laws of heaven and earth is a law. However, the stronger one's comprehension, the more they will be limited by the laws of heaven and earth. He stared at the night sky. This was the darkest moment before dawn. On the Azura blood sea, the light of the stars was greatly obscured by the blood fog. Lin Yu could only vaguely see fragments of the starry sky. If one wants to become a paragon, one must break the laws. Unfortunately, the laws of heaven and earth are no longer allowed to be broken by anyone. The next day, on the Azura Emperor sect's blood sea, the disciples gathered in the sky above the countless islands. I heard that this island flew down from the starry sky tens of thousands of years ago and was placed on our blood sea by the Lord Progenitor. The disciples stared at the huge outer sky island below. This island is at least 3 million feet long. I wonder what method the Lord Progenitor used to move it here. How can we know the Lord Progenitor's power? During the imperial era, our Lord Progenitor was the #1 emperor. This outer sky island contained the legends of the Azura blood emperor. Every time the disciples saw this island, they would unconsciously be in awe. Who is that? Why did he arrive earlier than us? The first group of people to arrive discovered that there was a figure sitting cross-legged at the entrance of the battle of the demonic lotus. Why haven't I seen this person before? Hey, who are you, kid? A few Azura disciples came to Lin Yu and saw that he was ignoring them. It was as if he had entered a meditative state. Kid, how dare you ignore us? The leader raised his foot and was about to stomp on Lin Yu. However, just as he exerted force, a terrifying blood chi exploded from Lin Yu's body. The disciple immediately felt a sense of danger. However, he suddenly realized that his cultivation had been suppressed and his reaction had slowed down. Bang, bang, bang. Lin Yu didn't move at all, but everyone around him was directly sent flying by this wave of blood chi. Pooh! These people rolled on the ground and vomited blood. When the others saw this, they did not dare to approach Lin Yu. So powerful. Who is that person? These disciples were shocked, but they could only watch from afar. They did not dare to approach Lin Yu. The disciples who had fallen to the ground before also got up with serious injuries and fled. Lin Yu was still operating. He remembered that there was some of the Shura blood emperor's Dao. Together with the Shura blood god's mark in his body, his body was also reaching the critical point of breakthrough at an extremely fast speed. Time went by. Mo Yintu's people finally arrived. "General, someone is making trouble at the entrance." The disciples saw Mo Yintu and immediately reported. "Today is the day of the demonic lotus ripening. Who dares to make trouble?" Before Mo Yintu could speak, another group of people came from behind him. The head of the generals, Lord Mo Ao. Mo Yintu was not the only one who came. Even Mo Ao, the head of the three generals, came. He was more burly than Xinzhong. Although there was no scar on his face, his serious and ferocious look was more terrifying than Xinzhong's. "Lord, we don't know him." The disciples lowered their heads and said, trembling. Mo Ao obviously didn't like being controlled by Mo Yintu here. So he said, "First, take me to see." With that, the two generals arrived at the entrance at the same time. Mo Ao naturally didn't know Lin Yu. However, Mo Yintu's pupils shrank. This brat actually came so early. "You know him?" Mo Ao asked coldly. Like Xinzhong, he had just returned to the Shura Emperor sect and did not recognize Lin Yu's face. This person, Mo Yintu's face twitched. He originally wanted to say a few bad words about Lin Yu. After all, this brat had killed his son. However, he still owed Lin Yu 500 billion Yao baht in front of Prince Chen. The bad words that were about to come out of Mo Yintu's mouth could not be said. This person is the Zither Emperor's imperial advisor, Lin Yu. Mo Ao narrowed his eyes and looked around. The Empress and Xinzhong did not appear, but the helper invited by the Empress came first. It seems that today will be interesting. He took a few steps forward and appeared in front of Lin Yu. "Zither Emperor's imperial advisor. This is not a place you should be." Scram. Chapter 467. Mo Ao's warning voice rang out. Lin Yu, who had his eyes closed, slowly opened them. He did not care about what the person in front of him said. Instead, he looked at the entrance. "I failed hundreds of times before I entered this place. Fortunately, the location of the demon refining blood pool hasn't moved yet." Lin Yu roughly locked onto the location. "I'm talking to you." Seeing that Lin Yu was ignoring him, General Mo Ao was furious. He raised his hand angrily and was about to grab Lin Yu. Wait! All of a sudden, the clouds and blood mist in the sky surged without end. When Mo Ao and Mo Yintu heard the voice coming from the sky, they immediately stopped and did not dare to move. "Greetings, Emperor Lord." The two of them had solemn expressions. Not only them, but the countless disciples who had come to watch the birth of the demonic lotus also knelt down. Lin Yu raised his head and met Luo Ming's divine sense clone. Luo Ming did not come with his real body, which allowed Lin Yu to confirm his premonition. Leaving Luo Xiaochen to accompany Yin Xiaoxiao seemed to be the right thing to do. Luo Ming was an overlord. Although he was much younger than the Sword Emperor and the Zither Emperor, he was not inferior to them in terms of strategy. Lin Yu came to the Azura Emperor sect openly with his identity as the imperial advisor of the Zither Emperor sect. How could Luo Ming kill him? In this way, it was clear that he wanted to start a war with the Zither Emperor sect. Therefore, when Luo Ming injured Lin Yu yesterday, he was just putting on an act in front of Yin Xiaoxiao. Otherwise, with the profundity of Luo Ming's space-time laws, Yin Xiaoxiao would not have been able to discover his arrival. Luo Ming could hide it from Yin Xiaoxiao, but he could not hide it from Lin Yu. The Zither Emperor sect's imperial advisor has come from afar to participate in the battle. You must not neglect him. Luo Ming's voice sounded again. Mo Ao and Mo Yintu's hearts tightened. The Emperor Lord actually cared about such trivial matters. After all, after Lin Yu arrived, he had yet to pay his respects to the Azura Emperor Lord. Logically speaking, Luo Ming had yet to see Lin Yu. Why did it seem like he knew Lin Yu? It was hard to fathom the Emperor's heart. Mo Yintu nodded. This old minister obeys and will certainly entertain the imperial preceptor. Mo Ao didn't say anything because he hadn't seen the current situation clearly. Why is the imperial preceptor alone? The blood-red gaze in the sky fell on Lin Yu. Emolian too also felt strange, because Lin Yu should be representing Celestial Empress Yin Xiaoxiao. Why was he alone here? One person is enough, Lin Yu said calmly. As soon as these words came out, it immediately caused all the disciples to be shocked. Arrogant, you're just an outsider. How dare you be so presumptuous in front of the emperor and the great general? One person is enough. Hee. Let's see how General Moao and General Emolian will deal with this kid. He's drawing hatred. This brat thinks that he can be impudent here just because he's the Zither Emperor's sect's imperial advisor. My Azura Emperor's sect won't take this lying down. Moao glared at Lin Yu with murderous intent in his eyes. Imperial Preceptor sure talks big, Moao said coldly. Lin Yu stood up. Let's begin. I'm in a hurry. Another sentence was heard. Lin Yu looked at him impatiently, which made the others feel that this brat was too arrogant. He's crazy. Looks like Prince Chun gave him face yesterday. Plus, because of the Emperor-Empress, this brat already doesn't know who he is. Emolian too had already treated Lin Yu as a dead man in his heart. Does he really think that that bitch in Xiaoxiao has real power in the Azura Emperor's sect to protect him? She's just a celestial empress with a false reputation. Emolian too naturally wouldn't speak his mind. After all, Luo Ming was still here. Speaking ill of Yin Xiaoxiao was the same as slapping Luo Ming's face. However, Emolian too still didn't forget to kill Lin Yu once. The two of us will also enter this place today. The Imperial Preceptor's battle prowess is unrivaled. Hearing this, Moao's eyes flashed with a touch of surprise. It was the first time he saw Emolian too praise a person like this. What the hell is this old brat doing? Moao was puzzled, but he had already locked on a Lin Yu, an outsider, as Emolian too's #1 enemy. Demonic Lotus is mine. Lin Yu is just a mere Lin Yu, so I'll just kill him. Moao's thoughts couldn't be hidden from Emolian Tuesday. Very good. The knife has been sharpened. I'm just waiting for you to put on a good show for me. Emolian too sneered in his heart. At this moment, Luo Ming couldn't see Yin Xiaoxiao's figure. Looking at Lin Yu, he had already recovered from his injuries. He also understood the reason. She must have used all her cultivation to heal Lin Yu. Then don't blame me. Luo Ming's voice came. The time is ripe. Now you can go in. After that, Moao and Emolian too were eager to give it a try. Moao was ready to enter the entrance. However, he was stopped by Emolian Tuesday. The visitor is a guest. Why don't you let the Imperial Tutor go in first? Emolian too seemed to be polite, but in fact, he looked at Lin Yu coldly. Moao immediately understood. Brother Emolian's words make sense. Zither Emperor Sect's Imperial Tutor. Moao looked at Lin Yu behind him. You go first. After saying that, everyone's eyes immediately fell on Lin Yu. This kid shouldn't know that the entrance is protected by our formation, right? So what if he knows? Other than our Azura Emperor sect, who else can close the formation? If an outsider rashly enters, he will only be seriously injured by the formation. Lin Yu was surrounded by everyone at this moment, and he felt like he was alone. Unfortunately, these people only thought that the current Lin Yu was easy to bully. How could they know that he had already planned out the entire plan after entering the cave? The only thing he was worried about now was Yin Xiaoxiao. Luo Ming's real body was not here. If Lin Yu guessed correctly, Luo Ming should have already gone to find Yin Xiaoxiao. There was not much time left. Lin Yu did not say anything else and stepped into the entrance of the cave. The entrance was in the middle of the Sky Island, and it looked like an ordinary 3 feet wide cave. If one looked at it purely with the naked eye, there seemed to be nothing at the entrance of the cave. However, Lin Yu did not know how many times he had been injured by this cave. At this moment, when everyone saw that he had indeed been tricked and was actually walking at the front, they could not help but sneer in their hearts. Just wait for death. Zither Emperor Sect's Imperial Tutor. Everyone, step back a bit. Don't let this Zither Emperor Sect's Imperial Tutor fly out and be smashed by him. You brat, shut up. Don't let him hear you. What if the dignified imperial tutor becomes a coward and doesn't dare to enter? Everyone's mocking and ridiculing continued. However, Linyu did not care about this at all. Similarly, under the expectant gazes of Mo Lien Tu and Mo Ao, Linyu had already taken a step forward. At the same time, at the entrance of a cave, a scarlet light screen suddenly descended. Chapter 468. This light curtain was the same color as the Blood Sea. At the front, it was like a sharp blade, directly slashing toward the place where Linyu was. Azura, forbidden land, trespassers will die. Linyu, this old man has been defeated by you again and again. I didn't expect that in the end you would end up like this. Mo Ao and Mo Lienta thought in their hearts, and their mouths were already mocking him. But the next moment, Linyu's footsteps were still moving forward, but it was like thunder in everyone's heart. The light curtain stopped. The formation was not triggered. What's going on? He clearly went in, but he hasn't touched the formation, and he's not from our Azura Emperor sect. This is impossible. Could it be that the light curtain formation has failed? The disciples' hearts were in turmoil, and they were already waiting for Linyu to become a dead man. But now, they still saw Linyu calmly entering the inner part of Sky Island. We can't delay any longer. Go, don't let that kid beat us to it. Mo Ao and Mo Lientu forcibly suppressed the horror in their hearts. At the same time, they rushed in. Not only them, but there were also hundreds of masters with strength, at least of the Grand Supreme Realm, following them. If Shinzhong had not been injured by Luo Shaochen, today's battle would actually be a competition of strength between the three generals and the Emperor's camp. But now that there was a situation, Shinzhong did not come, and only Linyu came from the Emperor's camp. The light curtain was closed by Mo Lientu and Mo Ao at the same time. At the same time, the two camps quickly rushed into the cave. At the forefront, Linyu looked around at the familiar place. It took a lot of effort to come in, but now I can ignore the formation by just activating the Blood God's mark, which saved a lot of effort. He touched his chin, trying to sense the specific location of the demon refining blood pool. What appeared in front of him was a pitch-black cave that extended in all directions. If it was his first time here, he would have been trapped in this complex cave before he could find the demonic flower. But before Linyu had time to think, two auras of the second heaven of the Law Realm appeared behind him. Troublesome. Linyu had no choice but to move in a safe direction as his body exploded. Where he was originally, Mo Ao and Mo Lien Tu immediately appeared. Mo Lien Tu, today only the three of us are competing. Who do you think will win in the end? Mo Ao asked with a deep meaning. His laughter was heard. Mo Lien Tu's lips curled into a smile as his eyes once again burned with hatred towards Linyu. You and I are both members of the Azura Emperor sect. No matter who obtains the demonic flower, it is our Azura Emperor sect's good fortune. But after saying that, Mo Lientu looked at Linyu. Mo Ao laughed. If that's the case, why don't we get rid of this outsider first? That won't do. Mo Lientu couldn't wait for Linyu to die, but he was worried that if Linyu died too easily, it wouldn't be fun. The Imperial Tutor is one of the Empress men. He seems to have a close relationship with the Empress. If we kill him now, I'm afraid we'll incur the Empress' wrath. Ridiculous. Hearing this, Mo Ao sneered. I was wondering why you were so respectful to him. It turns out that you're afraid of that bitch, Yin Xiao Xiao. She dares to disobey our Emperor Lord. Now she's just an empty shell. Lousy is afraid that she'll bite me. This Linyu is just an embroidered pillow hiding behind a woman. Mo Ao sneered. He took a step forward and attacked Linyu. Mo Lientu's eyes flashed with killing intent. He was obviously very proud of himself for causing Mo Ao's hatred towards Linyu. A beautiful woman will always bring you trouble. Unfortunately, Linyu, you're still too young to know the disadvantages of women. Mo Lientu's scimitar reappeared. Disciples, listen to my order. Kill the Zither Emperor sect's Imperial Tutor. Yes, Hundreds of people behind him returned in unison. Who would have thought that today's battle for the demonic lotus would start with a good show of ganging up on Linyu? Mo rushed to the front, his hands forming seals. Two laws appeared, blue and purple, shooting towards Linyu. The latter's expression was calm. After confirming the location of the demon-refining blood pool, he moved closer to the cave. At the same time, he also dodged Mo's first move. His speed is quite fast. Mo was shocked. A little Grand Realm trash could actually have such a fast movement technique. It really surprised him. But then, Mo Yin-Tu's scimitar had already slashed down towards Linyu. The latter saw the killing moves attacking him one after another. Even if he had more trump cards, Linyu knew that now was not the time to fight with them. Fortunately, golden light erupted from his right hand, and the aura of the Grand Realm gathered on his arm. The third move of the Great Void 8 Tribes Yaksha chapter descended. In the cave, where visibility was already extremely low, darkness fell again in an instant. What's the situation? Why can't I see anything? Divine sense can't be used. Hundreds of people opened their mouths in horror. However, their words seemed to be spoken, but in fact there was no sound at all. Yiksha's third move, depriving the five senses. After this, small world returned to its original state. Mo Yin-Tu and Mo looked at each other and were shocked at the same time. Good boy, he actually ran away. Mo Yin-Tu looked around. His killing move just now had hit empty air, and he had lost track of Linyu in front of him. Where did he go? Mo spread out his divine sense, but he could not lock on a Linyu. Damn it, that boy's divine sense realm is not low. He suddenly felt a kind of divine sense being suppressed and disturbed. Needless to say, it was the power left by Linyu. Let me try, Mo Yin-Tu said, but was stopped by Mo. It's useless, he has gone far. He looked around. This place is like a maze. Even I have only been here once. Linyu can escape at will. Even if he can avoid our pursuit, he can't come out. No. Mo Yin-Tu narrowed his eyes. That boy is cunning. Who knows if he can come out or not? Immediately, Mo Yin-Tu ordered again, looking at the 9 forks in front of him. You guys split into 9 teams and catch up with Linyu. Seems like brother Mo Lien hates Linyu to the bone. Mo also saw that something was wrong. However, Mo Yin-Tu blocked the news of Mo Lien Yuni's death. After all, this matter was too embarrassing. If he killed Linyu, the Grand Realm, it would be fine. However, Mo Yin-Tu could not deal with Linyu and was defeated repeatedly. If people knew that his son died in the hands of Linyu, where would he put his face as one of the 3 generals? People who had reached such a level of status obviously valued their reputation more than family. Linyu, this boy, has an unspeakable relationship with the Empress. Guess what is his relationship with the Emperor? Chapter 469. Mo Yin-Tu's eyes flashed as he spoke again. Mo's pupils dilated as if he was watching a good show. Imperial Lord's love rival. Is that kid worthy? Whether he is worthy or not, that is up to Yin Xiao. Mo Yin-Tu shook his head helplessly. I guess the Emperor Lord did not dare to personally kill Linyu because of his face. Otherwise, Linyu would have been a corpse long ago. Then what does brother Mo Lien mean? It is only right and proper to fight here. If Linyu dies here, it can only be said that he is not strong enough and has nothing to do with anyone. Even if the Zither Emperor's sect comes looking for us, what can they do to us? Mo Yin-Tu narrowed his eyes. Moreover, if you and I kill Linyu, it will solve the problem for the Emperor Lord. At that time, without Linyu, Yin Xiao will submit to the Emperor Lord, and you and I will be the greatest contributors. Hearing this, Mo clapped his hands. I didn't expect brother Mo Lien to be able to think of such a deep matter. It seems that among the 3 generals, brother Mo Lien is the most astute. Likewise, Mo Yin-Tu listened to the praise in the conversation and felt that the other party was mocking him. Then I asked brother Mo to deal with Lin Yu together. This kid has too many ideas and is not easy to deal with. Don't worry, I have already experienced that move just now. Next time, I won't let him run away again. Mo nodded and also gave the order. However, he was the same as Mo Yin too, only letting the disciples look for Lin Yu. As for themselves, they all headed towards the direction of the 7-color blood lotus at the same time. In another direction, Lin Yu avoided everyone's gaze. According to the route in his memory, he was already outside the demon refining blood pool. "It's you." Lin Yu punched out. With a loud bang, the wall in front of him shattered, and a human-like hole appeared in front of him. When the hole shattered, a tyrannical and terrifying blood chi immediately filled the air outside. Lin Yu had not made any movements, but the Azura blood god imprint in his body began to operate on its own. He looked around and spread out his divine consciousness. After confirming that there was no one around, he stepped into the cave. At the same time, Lin Yu sealed the hole again. Last time, when he was comprehending in the Shura gate, Yin Xiao was still by his side, and there was no one to disturb him. But this time, if he was not careful, Lin Yu was worried that Mo Yin 2 and Mo Ao would find him. At the same time, the aura of the blood pool was sealed by Lin Yu. By the time Lin Yu stepped into the blood pool, the sound of the Azura Emperor Gate's disciples' footsteps could already be heard. Fortunately, with their cultivation, they were unable to discover Lin Yu's presence. As for Mo Ao and Mo Yin 2, Lin Yu knew them too well. At this moment, he was definitely not looking for him. Instead, he was focusing all of his attention on the rainbow blood lotus. Perhaps they were already fighting amongst themselves. Lin Yu didn't want to think about this. He was immersed in the state of cultivation. In another direction of the Azura Emperor Gate, outside the peach blossom courtyard that Yin Xiao had temporarily given Lin Yu, the few maidservants who were still alive and kicking the peach blossom trees didn't even have the chance to resist and had already turned into corpses. Luo Ming's figure appeared in the courtyard. His eyes were filled with killing intent. He first went to Yin Xiao's residence. But there, he didn't find Yin Xiao. Instead, he sensed Yin Xiao's aura at Lin Yu's residence. "Last night, you two were in the same room." Luo Ming spoke slowly, and the temperature within 100 feet suddenly dropped. In front of him was the closed door of the bedroom. However, before Luo Ming could enter the bedroom, the wooden door opened by itself. However, it wasn't Yin Xiao who walked out. It was Luo Ming's sister, Luo Xiaochen. "You shouldn't be here." Luo Ming's cold voice sounded, but he was already somewhat surprised. Why would this annoying sister of his appear here? Big brother shouldn't be here either. Luo Xiaochen's bell-like voice sounded. The two of them seemed to be talking calmly, but the peach blossom trees in the courtyard were already swaying. An aura like the coming of a mountain storm completely erupted in the courtyard. "There's no place in the Shura Imperial sect that I shouldn't and can't go." Luo Ming's voice became deeper and deeper. The cute girl with 2 braids in front of him smiled gently. "Big brother, you misunderstood. I mean, Big brother should be presiding over the situation in Outer Sky Island now. Why are you here?" Luo Ming slowly took a few steps forward and approached Luo Xiaochen. The latter sensed his terrifying aura, but didn't retreat in the slightest. Luo Ming was very strong, but Luo Xiaochen wasn't easy to deal with either. "Why are you stopping me?" Luo Ming didn't answer Luo Xiaochen's question. He had already lost his patience. "Big sister Xiao is resting." Luo Xiaochen smiled faintly, and her ponytail bounced. "She's my woman. You should call her sister-in-law." Luo Ming narrowed his eyes. He was sure that there was something wrong with Luo Xiaochen today. "But big sister Xiao isn't willing. She doesn't want to be your woman, and has never been your woman." A clear voice sounded. Luo Xiaochen wasn't like Mo Yin 2 and Mo Ao. The 3 generals were afraid of Luo Ming, but Luo Xiaochen wasn't afraid. "I'll take whatever I want. No one can stop me." Luo Ming's voice had already started to turn cold. "Prince Chun, step aside." But at this moment, Luo Xiaochen's lips curled up. "And if I don't?" As soon as she said this, 6 laws in the courtyard shot into the sky at the same time. 3 of them came from Luo Ming, and the other 3 naturally came from Luo Xiaochen. If you don't, I don't mind killing you. Luo Ming's pupils widened, and veins appeared in his eyes. You should know that I've already killed a brother. I don't mind killing you too. Killing your father and brother. Luo Xiaochen's clear and bright eyes were filled with killing intent. Luo Ming, do you still remember what you've done? Interesting, interesting. Luo Ming laughed loudly, his voice almost crazy. How could he not understand at this moment? So you're Lin Yu's person? No, I'm only doing this for myself. Luo Xiaochen shook her head. Lin Yu's strategy isn't below yours or mine. I put on a show for him, so he was willing to cooperate with me. You finally couldn't help but make a move? Luo Ming's face grew more and more ferocious. But is that trash worth your one and only chance? There's already no one more powerful than him. Luo Xiaochen nodded solemnly. If I don't make a move today, will I have another chance in the future? Interesting, too interesting. So my sister has been tolerating me all this time. It seems you know a lot of things. Luo Ming's battle strength was fully unleashed. The small island where the two were on immediately shook. The sea of blood churned, and the earth shook. The 7-color blood lotus can't remove the blood god's curse. Instead, it will devour all cultivators of the blood god's curse. Luo Xiaochen sighed softly. Even at the expense of the 3 generals and Sister Xiao Xiao, you still want to use this last method to step into the supreme realm? Chapter 470. Luo Ming's maniacal laughter rang out again. Clearly, he had a whole new level of respect for Luo Xiaochen today. This seemingly harmless and idle Prince Chun, who looked like he was a harmless man, had nothing to do. Unexpectedly, she had such deep thoughts. Condensing the supreme blood and breaking the law shackles is the method left behind by the blood god ancestor. Luo Ming spread out his hands, and the aura of an emperor descended. I'm just respecting the ancestor's legacy. When I step into the supreme realm and unify the 8 great emperors' sects, everyone will forget what I've done before. His gaze fell on Luo Xiaochen. You're still too impulsive. If you continue to be a useless prince, I might allow you to continue living. But now, it's time for you to reunite with your father and second brother. Hearing this, Luo Xiaochen saw 3 laws land on her body. Clearly, he was determined to kill her. Luo Xiaochen's beautiful eyes looked in the direction of Sky Island. There, a terrifying aura soared into the sky. The 7-colored blood lotus has appeared in the bedroom. Violent battle waves kept coming. Yin Xiao Xiao, who was still sleeping soundly, suddenly woke up from a nightmare. She subconsciously looked to her side. Lin Yu was gone. Oh no! Yin Xiao Xiao immediately thought of something. But when she got out of bed, she only felt dizzy. Yesterday, she had used too much of her cultivation to heal Lin Yu. At that time, Yin Xiao Xiao only thought of not letting Lin Yu be hurt in the slightest. But now, the aftereffects of the healing came. She looked at the sky outside and finally understood why she had fallen unconscious. Luo Ming's aura and Luo Xiaochen. Yin Xiao Xiao did not know what had happened. Why did the 2 of them fight? But she did not care about that. Her heart was only filled with that young man's figure. Where did he go? Did he run off to fight for the 7-colored blood lotus alone? Yin Xiao Xiao immediately opened the door. On the other side in Sky Island, Lin Yu slowly opened his eyes. The battle waves on Yin Xiao Xiao's island had already begun to spread. However, Lin Yu and the others were inside the cave and did not notice this. What they didn't know was that the disciples who were watching the battle outside had all been attracted by the battle between Luo Ming and Luo Xiaochen. Emperor, Prince Chen, what is going on? The Emperor has always been invincible, but I didn't expect Prince Chun to be able to fight against him. The Azura Emperor Gates blood god, C, was in a state of chaos. Everyone watched as Luo Ming stepped on a gigantic blood dragon formed from 3 nomological laws. At that moment, it opened its gaping maw and lunged at Luo Xiaochen. On the other side, Luo Xiaoqin's 3 laws also transformed into 3 blue-feathered phoenixes that blotted out the sky. Phoenix cries and dragons soared, stirring up the horizon. The waves of the blood sea continued to rise from the shock waves of the battle. Wave after wave, the entire Azura Emperor sect was engulfed in a terrifying battle. As for this battle, very few outsiders knew about it. It was an 8-year-old grudge between Prince Chun and the Shura Emperor. At that time, Luo Xiaoqin was still young, but she already knew the truth of Luo Ming's killing of his father and brother. She had endured for 8 years. 8 years of growth, 8 years of idleness, and 8 years of idleness. That was why she had the capital to fight against Luo Ming today. Outside Sky Island, Lin Yu had already left the demon refining blood pool. He spread out his divine perception and locked onto a direction. That demonic flower's aura is too strong. It seems like it has already devoured many people's blood god's curse. Lin Yu stroked his chin and disappeared from where he stood. When he reappeared, he was already at the entrance of another path. However, before he even entered, he already saw the ground full of corpses. There was no trace of blood on these corpses. Instead, their faces were like withered wooden stakes. They were so shriveled that they were bloodless. Lin Yu glanced at the corpses from the corner of his eyes and saw a wound on each of their right arms. That was where the blood god's curse was originally located. It was exactly the same as the blood curse thread on Yin Xiaoxiao's arm. However, the blood curse thread had already been removed. It was the same for all the corpses. Looks like there are quite a few of them. Lin Yu dodged one corpse after another. He was sure that Luo Ming was determined to condense the supreme blood. Otherwise, he wouldn't have planted so many blood gods' curse at once. Lin Yu slowly approached. There were already fluctuations of battle in front of him. However, when he appeared, the battle had already disappeared. The huge cavern in front of him was covered by dense vines. In the middle of this cave, there was a huge demonic flower that was more than 10 feet tall. It emitted a 7-colored light, and just like a human, it was swaying countless tentacles. Lin Yu's gaze fell on these hundreds of tentacles at the same time. Every tentacle was flickering with a blood-red light. It was the blood god's curse seal on the disciples who had their blood sucked away. Lin Yu, save me. At this moment, other than the corpses on the ground, there were also 2 bodies that had been pierced through by tentacles. They were currently hanging in the air. If it wasn't Mo Yin 2 and Moao, who else could it be? Zither Emperor's sect imperial advisor. Save us. Right now, the aura of these 2 people was dispirited. As the tentacles emitted a soft, gurgling sound, it was as if they were sucking. The blood energy of the 2 people was being sucked away at a speed visible to the naked eye. Their faces also gradually withered. From the moment you came in, this result was already destined. What's there to save? Lin Yu spread out his hands and could only smile helplessly. It wasn't to ridicule these 2 people. Instead, he felt that the current situation was getting more and more interesting. Lin Yu, save this old man. This old man still owes you money. Mo Yin 2's pleading voice sounded again. On the other side, Moao hoped that he could die before he died. You said that this result was destined. What do you mean? Could it be that you already knew that this demonic lotus had such terrifying battle strength? If it can't even take care of you, how can it fuse with your blood god's curse? However, Lin Yu didn't even look at the 2 of them. Instead, his gaze fell on the demonic lotus. A flower left behind from the imperial era is not something you can deal with. Since the imperial era, when the 9 emperors fell, there's been no great emperor in this starry sky. Even after 5,000 years, no one can step into the sovereign realm. Lin Yu's eyes revealed a look of reminiscence. Because of this, the world named this era the era of Tao elimination. There is no longer a sovereign realm in this world, but the ambition of the strong to pursue the realm has never stopped. What does this have to do with us being destined to die here? Moao was even more puzzled. He was powerless to break free from the vines, but he didn't want to die, so inexplicably, Lin Yu smiled. Legend has it that in order to break through the shackles of the laws and step into the supreme being realm that no one has been able to enter in the past 5,000 years, one must first cultivate the will of a supreme being with one's blood, bones, meridians, and soul. Chapter 471. His gaze fell on Yao Lian, the ancestor of the Shura Emperor's sect. The Shura Blood Emperor once used the demonic flower to cultivate the blood god's curse and successfully refine the supreme blood. I think your Emperor Lord is now planning the same thing. Supreme blood. You let us cultivate the blood god's curse here to refine the supreme blood for Yao Lian. Mo Lian II and Mo Ao now understood that all of this was Luo Ming's scheme. I have worked hard for the Shura Emperor sect for 30 years. Why? Mo Lian II was not reconciled. After knowing that he was sacrificed by Luo Ming, this stupid feeling was worse than killing him. That bastard. After he killed his father, I should have known that he was cold-blooded. Mo Ao was also regretful, forgetting the pain in his body at the moment. His face was full of regret and anger. However, Lin Yu said indifferently, as if he was talking to himself. Although you have the name Yao Lian, these tentacles are too strange. But this sentence was heard by Yao Lian on both sides of the vine tentacles. Mo Lian II and Mo Ao had become corpses and were thrown on the ground. In this space, Lin Yu was the only human left. But a gloomy and terrifying voice suddenly came from Yao Lian. All things in the world are illusions. All things in the world, there is no noble or lowly. The seven-colored blood lotus actually made a human's voice. So, there's no noble or lowly life. I agree. Lin Yu smiled faintly, spread out his hands, and looked up at the demonic lotus. All things are intangible. Tangible is illusory. Is this your answer? He smiled with interest. Shura Blood Emperor didn't raise you here for tens of thousands of years in vain. It seems that you have finally made some progress. You're not the same as them. On the demonic lotus, on the 7 petals, a crack suddenly appeared. In the crack, there were vertical pupils. The first 3 pupils suddenly turned and locked on Lin Yu. What's the difference? All things in the world, there is no difference. Isn't that what you said? The corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. The moment the vertical pupil heard his words, he disappeared from the spot. Just as Lin Yu's figure shifted, countless vines shot out from the ground where he was standing just now like sharp iron spikes. If he was a little slower, Lin Yu would have ended up like Mo Lian II and Mo Ao. My Dao, human, you're not qualified to judge. Yao Yin was furious, but also surprised at Lin Yu's insight. He actually dodged his attack. I'm not surprised that you are very strong. Lin Yu stepped into the air with his hands in front of his chest and looked at the huge demon lotus. What surprised me is that you actually have a trace of that prisoner's aura. As soon as he said this, Yao Yin's body began to tremble. He attacked Lin Yu again. So. The vines exploded, and Lin Yu dodged several times with his extremely fast body movement. But he did not dare to be careless for a moment. This thing was really powerful. Tell me, where is the number 1 on the blacklist? Lin Yu asked again. He could not be wrong. The aura of Yao Lian II was the same as Feng Buxiu. Yao Lian II did not speak. It seemed that he could only attack Lin Yu continuously. He wanted to keep Lin Yu's words in this underground cave forever, even as ideas about you. It seems that he is not afraid of the Hellmaster. Lin Yu spread his hands and did not delay any longer. Golden light flashed in his hands. A huge black scythe appeared behind him. He slashed toward the sky. So, the Grim Reaper passed through, and the top of the cave began to collapse. Your opponent isn't me, but that fool you tricked. Lin Yu smiled. Seeing the cave collapse, his whole body burst out with golden light. He rushed to the sky. Rumble. The cave collapsed completely. On the Sky Island, the disciples also heard the loud noise. The general came out. The battle between the Imperial Lord and Prince Chun. It seems that the Imperial Lord is still stronger than Prince Chun. When Mo and General Mo Lien come out, maybe there will be a chance to turn things around. But the hopeful eyes of the disciples immediately dimmed. The golden light penetrated the cave and rushed out. Bathing in the golden light, the young man looked down at Yao Lien Tuesday. He also saw Luo Ming and Luo Xiaochun fighting in another direction. Lin Yu, why is it Lin Yu? Where is the general? Seeing that only Lin Yu came out, the disciples felt that something was wrong. But in the next moment, their eyes widened. The ground under the cave shook, and the huge body of the seven-colored blood lotus rushed out. What is that? Crazy. Everything today is crazy. The flower blooms in 7 colors. Isn't the 7-colored blood lotus a palm-sized treasure? How can it be so huge? In another direction, the Yao Lien too appeared. Luo Ming defeated Luo Xiaochun and caught her. Yin Xiaoxiao wanted to attack, but she was also held back by Luo Ming. Luo Ming could tell that something was wrong with Yao Yin. Lin Yu messed it up? Very good. Luo Ming was also injured. Clearly, he had paid a heavy price to suppress Luo Xiaochun. But at this moment, Luo Ming's face turned increasingly deranged as he charged towards Beyond Sky Island with the two of them. Your opponent is there. The corner of Lin Yu's mouth curled up into a smile. He retreated as he walked. Demonic Lotus had already clashed with Luo Ming, who had returned from the front. Lin Yu, you deserve to die. Luo Ming wanted to attack Lin Yu, but Lin Yu only smiled. Is my life more important, or is the Supreme Venerable's blood more important? The moment he said that, Luo Ming immediately sensed the rampaging 7-colored blood lotus. Why is this aura so strong? He had entered Beyond Sky Island. It was also there that he confirmed that the blood god curse could be devoured by the Yao Yin. But now that the Yao Yin had appeared, the strength of the Yao Yin's aura was enough to threaten him. It was the same for the Yao Yin. When Luo Ming arrived, he sensed the killing intent from Luo Ming. Although the Yao Yin wasn't human, he had the intelligence of a human. At this moment, he was fleeing towards the sky above the Shura Emperor's sect at an extremely fast speed. He had escaped. How could Luo Ming allow the thing he had planned for so long to escape in front of him? He immediately pulled Yin Xiaoxiao and Luo Xiaochun and charged forward. But at the same time, Lin Yu slashed down with his saber. Luo Ming had no choice but to let go of Luo Xiaochun and block Lin Yu's attack with one hand. While he was shocked by the power of Lin Yu's saber, Luo Ming knew that now wasn't the time to fight with Lin Yu. He exerted force in his hand and charged in the direction the Yao Yin had escaped with Yin Xiaoxiao. On the other side, Lin Yu supported the heavily injured Luo Xiaochun with one hand and placed her on the ground. In the sky above the Shura Emperor's sect, the battle between the 7-colored blood lotus and Luo Ming began again. Chapter 472. Boom! Boom! 2 terrifying battle powers kept ringing in the sky. The shockwaves of the battle were transmitted to the blood god sea below. Those disciples had no idea what was happening. First, the Emperor and Prince Chun suddenly started fighting. Then, in the Sky Island, only Lin Yu came out of the hundreds of people. At this moment, the other disciples had already entered the Sky Island and found the corpses of Mo and Mo Lien Tuesday. Not just the generals, but everyone in the Sky Island today. Everyone who participated in this battle for the Rainbow Blood Lotus. No one was left alive. In the sky, these dead people were waiting for the Demon Lotus to appear, but had comprehended 3 laws and was now fighting with their emperor. Since it has matured, then obediently hand over the supreme blood to me. Luo Ying's eyes were red, and when he attacked, blood dragons roared. The Demon Lotus wanted to dodge, but under the space-time law, the dozens of vines' reaction speed was slower by a breath. A breath's time was enough for the blood dragons to tear these vines off. Damn human! The rainbow blood lotus let out a hideous sound, and a bloodthirsty suction force burst out. When the blood dragons bit off its vines, it began to devour the blood dragon's blood. A mere demon lotus dares to scheme against me. Luo Ying dispersed the blood dragons. How could he not understand that he had fallen into the blood god curse's trap? He had sacrificed so many people, but in return, evil Lotus had increased his power. He now had the power to fight Han Sr. I don't believe that the supreme blood cultivation method left behind by the ancestors is fake. Whether it was real or fake, Luo Ying wanted to take down Demon Lotus and Lin Yu together. He strangled Yin Xiao Xiao. I want Lin Yu and Demon Lotus to die together. Since you love Lin Yu so much, I want you to watch him die for you. No, Yin Xiao Xiao's breath was weak. Luo Ying exerted force and distorted Yin Xiao Xiao's divine will. Yin Xiao Xiao, who had lost consciousness, was thrown toward the rainbow blood lotus by Luo Ying. Oh no! Luo Xiaoqin's pupils dilated. When she wanted to attack, she lost her strength. She had been hit by Luo Ying's palm, and now that her injuries had flared up, she was no longer as agile as before. But when Luo Xiaoqian wanted to call Lin Yu to save them, she saw that Lin Yu had already disappeared from her side. So fast, Luo Xiaoqian raised her head and saw the golden light streaking across the sky at a speed that surprised even her. It directly blocked the seven-colored blood lotus and at the same time grabbed Yin Xiao Xiao's waist. I'll kill you all together, Luo Ming sneered. His actions were naturally not aimed at Yin Xiao Xiao, but to bait Lin Yu into attacking. Now, Luo Jie's palms had already gathered the strength of a peak third firmament of laws. With a boom, the winds and clouds in the sky churned as the sea of blood soared into the sky. In front of Luo Jie, it transformed into a palm print that blotted out the sky. No one in the Emperor's star field can withstand this palm of mine. When Luo Jie attacked, his cultivation was instantly drained by the palm force. This was also the reason why he wanted to kill Lin Yu and Yao Lian at the same time. This move was invincible, but it consumed too much energy. If he only dealt with Yao Lian, his weakened state after attacking would give Lin Yu a chance to escape. But now, Lin Yu and Yao Lian had appeared in the same place. This was exactly what he wanted. This palm, infinite desolation. Rumble. The winds and clouds in the sky and the sea of blood on the ground seemed to have been drained of all strength by this palm. Just as Luo Jie said, no one could withstand this palm. Even if an Emperor Master attacked, they would have to pay a great price to block this palm that could destroy heaven, decimating earth. Run! Yin Xiao Xiao wanted to push Lin Yu away, but she saw that Lin Yu's expression was calm as he hugged her even tighter. However, compared to her fear, Lin Yu's expression remained emotionless. After being trapped for 100,000 years, he had encountered such life-or-death crises too many times. Obliterating all things, infinite desolation palm. The Azura Imperial Gates, most powerful move. I didn't expect Luo Jie to have mastered it. It's not a divine power, but it's extremely close to one. Although Yiksha and Dragon form are of a higher level than him, with my current strength, I can't block this move. He quickly judged and looked behind him. The rainbow blood lotus had already sensed the danger and was beginning to flee. It didn't seem reliable either. Lin Yu was about to use space-time reset to buy time. His gaze passed through the infinite desolation palm and suddenly saw space shatter behind Luo Jie. In that space, a figure appeared like a ghost. This figure was extremely fast. No one saw her attack, especially when Luo Jie's attention was completely focused on Lin Yu and the rainbow blood lotus. The infinite desolation palm had used both of his hands. By the time he reacted, there was already a golden thread around his neck. This thread was as thin as an azure hair. In an instant, it had already wrapped around Luo Jie's neck. Luo Jie's pupils dilated as he felt an unprecedented sense of danger. However, by the time he reacted, the austere aura of the golden thread had already engulfed his entire body. Above the blood sea, an inconspicuous golden light flashed. However, because of this golden light, the infinite desolation blood palm that covered half the sky seemed to lose its target and turned into a storm. The storm swept across the surface of the sea, forming huge waves. Countless islands of the Azura Imperial Gate swayed, and some were even submerged into the sea. However, as the disciples fled from the Blood Sea, they felt a stabbing pain in their heads. This was because they saw Luo Jie's head fall from the sky. At the same time, his imperial-robed combat body fell. Imperial Lord. The Imperial Lord has fallen. Where Luo Jie had been, a woman's figure slowly appeared from the shattered space. The person looked down and saw that even though Luo Jie's head was separated from his body, he was still breathing. As expected of an Imperial Lord, a cold voice sounded. The guqin appeared in the woman's hand again, but it was different from before. She did not play the guqin. Instead, she pulled out dozens of strings from it. These strings were the same as the golden threads from before. The wooden guqin was like a seal. At that moment, the golden threads had broken free from the seal and were like a ferocious beast that had been released from its cage. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. The Azura Imperial Gate disciples all took action, wanting to save Luo Jie. However, the woman casually swung her hand, and the might of a third firmament of laws came crashing down. In the sky, an invisible barrier crushed everyone. Bang, bang, bang. Before the disciples could even approach Luo Jie's corpse, they were blasted into a bloody mist by the barrier. At the same time, the bloody aura of Luo Ming's head and body had already attracted each other. However, this attraction did not last for long before densely packed golden threads suddenly descended and swallowed these two pieces of land. Rumbling sounds continued as the island where Luo Jie's corpse was located completely shattered. At the same time, the Overlord's combat body and divine was shattered. Chapter 473. Two of the three generals of the Shura Emperor's sect had died, and the hundreds of experts above the Grand Supreme Realm had all been sacrificed by Luo Ming to the Rainbow Blood Lotus. However, just as Luo Ming was about to take the lotus and refine the supreme blood, he was ambushed by the woman who seemed to have been waiting to kill him. Without the help of the three generals, the other party clearly had the intention to kill him and understood Luo Ming very well. This gave Luo Ming no chance to resist at all. A dignified emperor-level expert had already been submerged under the blood god sea with this island. However, the woman raised her hand again. The golden threads that contained the power of the third level of the laws directly smashed into the blood god sea. Stormy waves, blood sea overflowing. After a long time, after confirming that Luo Ming was dead, the golden threads surrounded the woman. Only then did she slowly look at Lin Yu. At this moment, the other members of the Shura Emperor sect realized that the Rainbow Blood Lotus had appeared below the woman, wrapped in golden threads, stepping on a demonic lotus. Lin Yu had already handed Yin Xiao Xiao to Luo Xiaoqin. However, now that the latter was faced with the fact that his elder brother had suddenly died, his expression was a little dazed for a moment. Lin Yu stood in front of the two women and said to the woman in the sky, "You're finally here, number one on the blacklist. Haven't you been looking for me?" The woman's cold voice came from above. A terrifying killing intent once again enveloped Lin Yu, but this time it was not Luo Ming, but the woman in front of him. Lin Yu sighed softly and stepped into the air, appearing at the same level as the woman. "Lian Yin." Lin Yu's voice was somewhat helpless. "I was waiting for your true body to descend, not for you to possess Lian Yin's body. This is her honor and also her destiny." The woman in front of Lin Yu was the seventh highness of the Zither Emperor sect, Lian Yin. However, Lin Yu knew that the current Lian Yin was the same as Feng Buxiu back then, possessed by the number one on the blacklist. "I am very curious. This evil lotus eats humans and hates humans. Why is it cooperating with you?" Lin Yu's gaze landed on the Rainbow Blood Lotus, and then he looked at Lian Yin. "Or is it that after 10,000 years of imprisonment, you can no longer be considered a human?" After hearing that, The number one on the blacklist was obviously angered by Lin Yu's words. A fierce killing intent flashed across his face. Yes or no, you would die today. As soon as he finished speaking, the golden threads and vines had already locked onto Lin Yu. Even if you have the Imperial Zither, you are still no match for me today. The number one on the blacklist did not move, but Lin Yu sensed that the space he was in had been sealed off by the 6 laws. That was the combined power of Yao Yin and the number one on the blacklist. You've already failed once in the Zither Emperor sect. How can you be sure that you will succeed this time? Lin Yu spread out his hands. Even in the face of such a terrifying enemy, he still appeared to be at ease. Last time, I had the intention to cooperate with you. Unfortunately, the chance is gone now. Killing intent flashed in her bright eyes as the number one on the blacklist erupted. Knowing that Lin Yu was not simple, she would not be careless. Just like dealing with Luo Ming, such a scheming person's combat strength was not weak. Only by killing them quickly would it be the most effective way. Lin Yu raised the corner of his mouth and raised his right hand. The Imperial Zither had already appeared in his hand. Clang! The Zither strings vibrated and sound waves spread out. The terrifying sound waves caused space to distort. At the same time, golden chains appeared on Lin Yin's hands in an instant. Imperial Zither, the number one on the blacklist, narrowed his eyes and sneered. It seems that the Zither Emperor personally passed it to you. Otherwise, it would be impossible for you to perfectly control this Imperial Zither. Lin Yu shrugged. The Imperial Zither's momentum changed again. It bypassed the vines and golden threads and wrapped around Lin Yin's legs. Do you know why I want to use this body? The number one on the blacklist spoke again. Because I'm certain that you don't dare to destroy this body. Her inhuman laughter could be heard. However, Lin Yu's expression was still as cold as ever. Barbs suddenly drilled out from the chains. The barbs pierced in her flesh and severed her meridians. Lin Yin's wrist was instantly dyed red. What a ruthless person. Even the number one on the blacklist in Lin Yin's body was shocked by Lin Yu's decisive killing move. It seems that your level of viciousness is not below Luo Ming's. The number one on the blacklist sneered. He did not care about the injuries to this body and forcibly broke free. Looking at the bloody hand that was already showing the bones, Lin Yu's gaze was calm. However, he felt helpless in his heart. It was still Lin Yin's body. Be careful. Below, Luo Xiaochen and Yin Xiaoxiao shouted at the same time. The moment Lin Yu was distracted, the vines and golden threads had already submerged Lin Yu's position. He dodged pretty fast. The number one on the blacklist looked in another direction. There, Lin Yu's lips curled up. He wiped away the blood at the corner of his mouth. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Just now, even though he had burned his 3 elemental merge realm to obtain unprecedented speed, he was still injured. You can use the Imperial Zither again. The number one on the blacklist laughed. His ear-piercing voice rang out above the Azura blood sea. The Imperial Zither shackles the limbs. Before you can kill me with the Zither, this body will die first. It's over. This demon can kill the Emperor Lord. He can also kill us. My Azura Emperor sect is finished today. Lin Yu, our only hope is in Lin Yu's hands. Even the Emperor Lord is no match for him. How can Lin Yu defeat this demon? That demon isn't an Emperor Lord, but he has the combat power of one. Lin Yu is no match for him. We have to find a chance to escape. Below, there were already many warships that were preparing to leave the Azura Emperor sect. Luo Xiaochen gritted her teeth and stood up. I'll go help Master. No. Yin Xiaoxiao suddenly stopped her. Luo Xiaochen was puzzled. Master is still no match for her. But at this moment, Yin Xiaoxiao's beautiful eyes were carefully looking at Lin Yu. He still has that confident look on his face. What do you mean? At this critical moment, Luo Xiaochen immediately asked. Shaking her head, Yin Xiaoxiao said, Don't go. He can win. She knew Lin Yu's smile too well. When the demonic Bliss sect invaded, he had the same smile. When the Azura army attacked the subtle sect, Lin Yu had the same smile. Even now, Yin Xiaoxiao was sure that everything was still under Lin Yu's control. Although she didn't know how the Zither Emperor's sex, Seventh Highness, had become so powerful. She didn't even know that he was so powerful that he could kill an Emperor Lord. She also didn't know why Lin Yin wanted to kill Lin Yu. But she knew Lin Yu. She knew that his smile meant that everything was under his control. Chapter 474. He must be sure to win. If we attack him, we might affect him. Yin Xiaoxiao said with certainty. Are you sure? Luo Xiaochen frowned. She knew that even if she and Lin Yu joined hands, they might not be able to defeat the number one on the blacklist. But she didn't want to wait for death. But now, facing Yin Xiaoxiao's determined eyes, Luo Xiaochen had to clench her teeth. Okay, you have a close relationship with my master. You must know him better than I do. Luo Xiaochen looked up at the sky. Yin Xiaoxiao was right. Lin Yu smiled and said to the number one on the blacklist again, Do you know the origin of this blood sea? I know everything. The number one on the blacklist raised his hand. This place was created by the Shura Blood Emperor, and the blood sea was also left by him. Lin Yu nodded. Do you know where the key to the Shura Emperor gate is? Hearing this, the number one on the blacklist sneered with a cold light in his eyes. The key here is long gone. 3 of the 9 keys to open this prison have been destroyed. So, only the Helm Master can open that door. The number one on the blacklist raised his head and looked at the dark sky. Suddenly, a roar came out. The sound wave bombarded the sky and scattered the clouds in the sky, revealing the vast, starry sky. As long as I kill the Helm Master, I can leave this ugly and disgusting prison. The eyes of the number one on the blacklist became even crazier when he heard the word key. But Lin Yu said with a faint smile, The 9 keys are kept by the 9 emperors. You said 3 keys were destroyed. You should be referring to the Demon Emperor, Qi Tiandi, and the Shura Blood Emperor, right? Yes, the Demon Emperor is dead, and the Qi Tiandi died in an earlier era. And the Shura Blood Emperor's imperial seal also disappeared after his death. The number one on the blacklist pointed at Lin Yu and said in a deep voice, I've already tried all your methods. I've been trapped here for thousands of years, and I've already tried all these methods. Except for Helm Master, there's no other way to leave here. No, Lin Yu shook his head. The 3 keys you mentioned still exist. Impossible. The number one on the blacklist roared. Lin Yu, I don't care to guess what you're thinking. Die. As soon as he finished speaking, the vines and golden threads descended once again. The sound of breaking wind seemed to cut open space, and an ear-piercing cracking sound could be heard. Lin Yu sighed softly. You've been investigating for 10,000 years, but I've been in this universe for 15,000 years. With that, he raised his right hand, and the entire sea of blood suddenly soared into the sky. At this moment, the blood sea was not like before when it was affected by external forces. Right now, the blood sea seemed to have a mind of its own. It charged directly into the sky and formed a huge barrier in front of Lin Yu. The imperial seal hasn't disappeared. The sea of blood separated Lin Yu and the number one on the black leaderboard. The former's voice was heard slowly. The blood sea, the Shura Emperor Gate's blood sea that has been around for 10,000 years, can actually move on its own. Not only were the disciples of the Shura Emperor Gate dumbfounded, but even the talented Luo Xiaochen was deeply shocked by Lin Yu's move and the blood sea's protection. From the moment I came out of seclusion on Outer Sky Island, today's battle has been under my control. Lin Yu's lips curled up. On his palm, the complicated Shura blood god's seal suddenly appeared. The seal immediately expanded, surpassing Lin Yu's height. 100 feet, 1,000 feet, 100,000 feet, 100,000 feet. Finally, it reached 1,000,000 feet, no more, no less, and it surrounded the entire blood sea. However, the blood sea was no longer lying flat on the island. Instead, it stood upright and divided the entire Shura Emperor Gate into 2. The Shura Blood God's seal. The number one on the black leaderboard widened his eyes. He immediately recognized what it was. Impossible. The Blood Emperor's drop of blood was divided into three. How could it still be so powerful after 10,000 years? She was not the only one who knew this. Even the members of the Shura Emperor Gate only knew about the Shura Blood God seal from ancient books. If it's only the Blood Emperor's blood essence, it will naturally dissipate after 10,000 years. Even if it remains, it won't be very powerful. Lin Yu's fingers formed a claw, and a whirlpool appeared on the Shura Blood God seal. The blood sea began to shrink. But if this drop of blood is the Emperor's seal, what will happen? Back then, the Emperor's seal was divided into three and fused with the drop of blood, forming three demon refining blood pools. Lin Yu's voice continued, one in the Shura Emperor Gate, one in Outer Sky Island, and the third demon refining blood pool is this blood sea. Lin Yu's voice was not loud, but it exploded in the mind of the number one on the black leaderboard. The Shura Blood God seal was the Emperor's seal of the 9 great keys. The blood sea instantly gathered. In Lin Yu's hand, it formed a blood-red seal the size of a palm. The moment the seal appeared, it immediately activated the laws of the Shura Emperor Gate. Does the Emperor's seal look good? The corners of Lin Yu's mouth curled up. The moment he raised his hand, the space around Lien Yin was surrounded by a blood-red light curtain. The number one on the black leaderboard squinted his eyes. At this moment, his vines and golden threads were completely unable to attack. They were all sealed within the space by the Emperor's seal. In the next moment, a terrifying energy of refinement suddenly appeared in this expanse of space. The number one on the black leaderboard's pupils contracted, and he immediately felt a sense of danger. If your real body were here, you might be able to fuse with the sovereign blood. Unfortunately, you're only borrowing Lien Yin's body. Lin Yu sighed. In his heart, he felt sorry for losing the chance to kill the number one on the black leaderboard for the second time. When I go to the underworld in the future and confirm the Hell Sovereign situation, my real body will naturally descend. The number one on the black leaderboard laughed sinisterly, allowing the blood-red flames to spread all over his body. She was not the only one. The rainbow blood lotus under her feet had already left her and started to hit the sealed space. However, from the outside, this space had already taken the shape of the Emperor's seal. Both the lotus and the number one on the black leaderboard were sealed within the Emperor's seal. Lin Yu, looks like you've won this time. The number one on the black leaderboard spread his hands. The blood-red flames burned all over his body. More than half of Lien Yin's body was already destroyed. I've planned for 1,000 years and left behind 33 clones. You destroyed 2 of them by yourself. Fun. 33 clones. I'm not in the mood to continue playing with you. Lin Yu pointed a finger. The Emperor's seal instantly shrank, and the flames burned to the limit. However, in the next moment, Lien Yin's entire body withered. The demonic lotus was still struggling, but Lin Yu knew that the number one on the black leaderboard had already left. An Emperor's seal alone won't be able to keep her here. Lin Yu dispersed the blood-red flames, and his figure disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already hugging Lien Yin, who was covered in wounds. The Emperor's seal's light was still there, and it covered the 2 of them. Chapter 475. No one could see what happened next. Lin Yu activated space-time reset and healed Lien Yin's injuries. However, her divine sense had been suppressed for too long and could not be awakened immediately. If Lin Yu forcefully reset space-time reset, he might even reset the number one spot on the blacklist. After confirming that Lien Yin's breathing had stabilized and her injuries had all healed, Lin Yu raised his other hand. His 5 fingers formed a claw, and he directly grabbed a vine in his hand. Golden light burst out. Lin Yu's cultivation, physique, and divine sense had reached the 800th level of the Grand Supreme stage after refining the 3 demon refining blood pools. He was one step closer to the Law Realm. At this moment, the blood aura in the Shura Emperor's sea of blood had completely disappeared. The clear sea fell from the sky and quickly covered the sea. The island that was about to fall floated up. The demonic lotus had already lost its ability to fight. Lin Yu casually tossed it to the remaining island. With a bang, a huge pit was formed in the middle of the island. Lin Yu placed Lien Yin on the ground. Luo Shaoqin and Yin Xiaoxiao looked at the latter, who was sleeping soundly. Master, why did you bring this demon back? Looking at her nervous expression, Lin Yu's mouth twitched. Who's the demon? It's her. Luo Shaoqin pointed at Lien Yin. She killed Big Brother and tens of thousands of people from the Shura Emperor's sect. Lin Yu realized that she was talking about the #1 spot on the blacklist. The demon is gone. Her body was just taken over. Lin Yu put Lien Yin down and said, she was forcefully injected with the laws of the third heaven. She's very weak now. I'll leave her to you. Lien Yin's battle strength had not reached the third heaven. Instead, it was directly raised by the #1 spot on the blacklist. In addition, she had borrowed the power of the demonic lotus. If not for Lin Yu's space-time reset trump card, Lien Yin would have been a corpse by now. Of course, Lin Yu didn't continue to explain any of this. Instead, he looked off in another direction and stepped forward, arriving outside of the demonic lotus. The demonic lotus struggled in its death throes, and the eyes on the 7 petals all stared at Lin Yu. Human, I submit to you. Save me. Evil Lotus' weak voice came. You should be very familiar with the power of the Imperial Seal, right? Lin Yu said slowly. The power of the Imperial Seal came from the same source as the Blood Emperor Shura. 10,000 years ago, before the demonic lotus had matured, the Shura Blood Emperor had sent it into Sky Island. In the eyes of the Shura Blood Emperor, the demonic lotus was just a potted plant. Who would have thought that after 10,000 years, this demonic lotus would be used by the #1 on the blacklist, destroying the Azura Emperor's sect's 10,000 years of foundation and leaving Luo Ming in a difficult situation of fighting alone. In the end, he was sneakily attacked by the #1 on the blacklist. What did you promise her? Lin Yu put his hands in front of him and sat down on a random rock. He looked down at Evil Lotus, who was lying limp in the hole. There was a long silence. How could Evil Lotus not understand Lin Yu's meaning? A drop of purple gold liquid appeared where the stamen was. Around the liquid, one could vaguely see the blood god's meridians that had yet to be completely refined. Supreme blood. Lin Yu clenched his hand. Luo Ming had sacrificed the Emperor's Sect's foundation to refine the supreme blood that he had been dreaming of. Now, it had landed on Lin Yu's body. Violent blood energy seemed to overflow from Lin Yu's palm, even though the supreme blood was just floating in his hand and had not really touched Lin Yu. But at this moment, Lin Yu's body was already feeling a great pressure. But there was also a kind of desire in this pressure. A desire to merge with this drop of supreme blood that had sacrificed so many people to refine. If I consume it now, I'm afraid that with my grand supreme cultivation, I'll explode in an instant. Lin Yu suppressed the desire in his body and dismissed this thought. The path of martial arts was still a gradual process. More haste, less speed. If he had not been able to restrain himself, all his previous efforts would have been in vain. After putting away the supreme blood, Lin Yu stomped his foot, and the big rock he was on suddenly exploded. At the same time, a vine was broken by Lin Yu under the rubble. Trying to steal someone else's body like the first on the black roll? Lin Yu smiled and appeared on the evil lotus. He lifted his foot, and the great void dragon form's final move landed. The entire island was reduced to ashes in an instant. At the same time, the real body of the 7-color evil lotus also disappeared. Lin Yu had already put away the most precious paragon's blood. As for the demonic lotus that had nurtured the paragon's blood, its side effects were too great. Unlike the Blood Emperor, Lin Yu wasn't in the mood to raise potted plants. After getting rid of the last problem, Lin Yu returned to the island where Yin Xiaoxiao and the other 2 girls were. The Shura Blood Sea had disappeared, and the vast sea had such clear scenery for the first time. The thick blood fog that originally filled the sky was also absorbed the moment the Emperor's seal appeared. The Blood Sea and Blood Chi seemed to be just a part of the power that had leaked out of the Emperor's seal over the past 10,000 years. Now that the power had been hit by Lin Yu, the world had also returned to its glory from 10,000 years ago. The other disciples of the Emperor's Gate had just reacted. Some of the disciples were still preparing to escape on the warship, but they had already seen Lin Yu in the battle. How did our emperor's gate change? Lin Yu won, because Lin Yu defeated that demon. It's a miracle. Even the emperor was killed. How did Lin Yu defeat her? When these people finally reacted, they all knelt down to Lin Yu and Luo Xiaochen. Thank you. Luo Xiaochen also saw Lin Yu return and solemnly bowed to him with her fists. Her expression was solemn. She had already known about Yao Lian's existence. She also realized that Yao Lian was a threat to the Shura Emperor's Gate. Therefore, she pretended to be innocent and approached Yin Xiaoxiao and Lin Yu. In the end, she used Lin Yu to restrain Yao Lian, and she went to stop Luo Ming. She was sure that with Lin Yu's intelligence, it was impossible for him not to see through her. Now that the dust had settled, Luo Xiaochun was afraid that Lin Yu would blame her. Can I still call you master now? Luo Xiaochun asked fearfully. Her two braids also hung down in front of Lin Yu. Up to you. Lin Yu did not look at her anymore, because Yin Xiaoxiao's blood god curse had activated again. But even so, these two words were enough to make Luo Xiaochun smile. Master, 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 she called out a dozen more times, and at the same time, held Lin Yu's hand for a long time. At this moment, Yin Xiaoxiao was enduring the pain, and her face was still filled with joy for Lin Yu's victory. You seem to have obtained some incredible treasures. Congratulations, she was smiling, but her lips had already lost all color. If not for Lin Yu's appearance, Yin Xiaoxiao might have died in Sky Island with Mo and Mo Lian Tuesday. Chapter 476. However, Lin Yu's appearance made Luo Ming want to kill even more. He used Lin Yu to exchange for Yin Xiaoxiao to enter Sky Island. As for Luo Ming, he secretly wanted to find Yin Xiaoxiao. What exactly did he want to do to Yin Xiaoxiao? Perhaps no one knew. Seeing that Yin Xiaoxiao could not take it anymore, Lin Yu looked into the distance and saw that there was a battle in the courtyard full of peach trees. Let's go, I'll bring you back. Lin Yu's voice was still calm and emotionless. He stretched out his hand. When Yin Xiaoxiao heard this, her beautiful eyes were already filled with tears. This guy, can't he speak more gently? Yin Xiaoxiao's cold hand was already in Lin Yu's hand. Together with Lin Yin and the other two girls, they were brought back to the courtyard by Lin Yu. Luo Xiaochuan sighed softly. Heroes are short-lived. Love is long. After saying this, countless disciples had already knelt down to her. Reorganize the Emperor's Gate and bury the bodies of the Emperor Lord, the two generals. Luo Xiaochun ordered everyone. The disciples immediately complied. Shenzhong, who was seriously injured, walked over with lingering fear. Since he was injured by Luo Xiaochun yesterday, he had been unconscious for a day and a night. He had just been woken up by the fluctuations of the battle, and the island under his jurisdiction was flooded by the sea of blood. Shenzhong, who ran out with serious injuries, knew that Mo Lian too, and Luo Ming were all dead. Most of the old officials of the Emperor's Gate had died in Sky Island. The remaining small portion was already in a half-dead and half-crippled state. Prince Chun, this old official, what should this old official do now? Luo Xiaochen stepped forward and patted Shenzhong's shoulder. The latter was shocked, thinking that Luo Xiaochun was going to hit him again. He immediately knelt down in fear. Prince Chun, please spare me. Prince Chun. General Shun, don't be afraid. This prince is a good person. Luo Xiaochun was originally in a difficult situation. Now that the Shura Emperor's Gate was leaderless, she had a lot of things to deal with. However, these things gave her a headache. Fortunately, this Shenzhong appeared. Yes, Prince Chun is right. How could Shenzhong dare to refute Luo Xiaochen? He immediately nodded his head several times. If your highness has any instructions, please do not hesitate to order this old official. General Shun, you're lucky. Luo Xiaochen smiled and patted Shenzhong again. Although she was heavily injured, her strength was still not something that Shenzhong could withstand. Puff! Shenzhong almost spat out a mouthful of blood. I didn't do it on purpose. Luo Xiaochan retracted her hand. It was better not to be too excited. What this king means is, now that the Emperor's Gate has many things to do, since Mo Ao and Emolian, two generals died one after another, General Shun is the only general of our Emperor's Gate. In the future, all the affairs of the Emperor's Gate will fall into the hands of General Shun. When Xinzhong heard this, he originally thought that it was a big matter, so he immediately nodded. This old subject will definitely do my best and die for Prince. Very good, very good. Luo Xiaochan's two ponytails nodded in satisfaction. Within the peach blossom tree courtyard, Lin Yu arranged for Lien Yin to stay in his residence. At this moment, Lien Yin was still sleeping soundly, but Lin Yu knew that she would wake up soon. For now, he just put her here casually. At the same time, Yin Xiaoxiao was heavily injured and the blood god curse in her body had broken out. Naturally, Lin Yu put her together with Lien Yin. Lie down first, Lin Yu said indifferently and grabbed Yin Xiaoxiao's arm again. The latter was touched by a man for the first time, but because it was Lin Yu, she did not refute at all in her heart. Do you still remember the first time we met? Yin Xiaoxiao's bright eyes showed that she was reminiscing. I forgot, Lin Yu said casually without thinking at all. Instead, he focused on operating the power of the Emperor's Seal and pressed it on Yin Xiaoxiao's blood god curse. Yin Xiaoxiao only felt a warm force invading her arm, and this force quickly spread throughout her body. However, Yin Xiaoxiao did not care about this. There was only blame in her eyes for Lin Yu. You actually forgot that I was still bathing when you barged in. Hearing Yin Xiaoxiao's blame, Lin Yu said indifferently, weren't you the one who asked me to go up? Yin Xiaoxiao almost wanted to sit up and argue with Lin Yu, but she had no strength in her body, so she lay down again. She could only snort as her body moved up and down. I thought you would wait for me behind the curtain. Who knew that you would walk in directly? Lin Yu did not reply. When Yin Xiaoxiao saw this, she seemed to be immersed in the memories of the past. She mumbled to herself. At that time, Tang Exen almost married into the Bodhi sect. I still remember how nervous you were. Are they the only ones who can make you so nervous? Lin Yu still did not reply. He did not dare to use his full strength, as he was worried that Yin Xiaoxiao's body would not be able to withstand the power of the Emperor's Seal. However, her blood god curse was being dissolved at a speed visible to the naked eye. 30%, 40%. She saw that this handsome young man was concentrating on healing her. Yin Xiaoxiao did not know how he managed to dissolve the blood god curse, but she had gradually gotten used to Lin Yu, a man who had created miracles time and time again. I also want you to be nervous for me once. Yin Xiaoxiao turned her face away, but her beautiful side profile was still flushed red. It was as if this sentence had used up all her courage. Her blood god curse had been dissolved by more than half. 60%, 70%. Yin Xiaoxiao felt that she had recovered her strength, so she immediately sat up. It's not done yet, Lin Yu said indifferently, but the latter had already broken free from his hand and leaned her delicate body against him. If it's not done, then I don't care. Yin Xiaoxiao's face was flushed red. As if she had made a decision, she directly helped Lin Yu to the bed. Lin Yu, you've been nervous for me before, haven't you? Her shoulder straps slipped, and her snow-white shoulders were leaning against Lin Yu's chest. You left me here and let Xiaochun protect me, while you went to Outer Sky Island alone. The latter could almost hear Yin Xiaoxiao's fluttering heart. Lin Yu, love me just once, okay? This was a young girl who had mustered up the greatest courage in her life to confess to the man she loved. Lin Yu did not say anything, but Yin Xiaoxiao had already melted in his body. Under the peach blossom tree in the fragrant bedroom, endless sounds of extravagance could be heard. Lin Yu looked at the beauty in front of him, but at the same time, he noticed that Lien Yin, who was also lying on the bed behind him, was breathing rapidly. It turned out that she had already woken up. Lin Yu hugged Yin Xiaoxiao tightly and glanced at Lien Yin from the corner of his eye. He saw that under the latter's tightly shut eyelids, even though she was trying her best to hide it, they were still twitching uncontrollably. 10 hours later, Lin Yu put down Yin Xiaoxiao, who no longer had any strength in her arms. She was already exhausted, but Lin Yu still had energy. After putting down Yin Xiao Xiao, Lin Yu walked out of the room. Under the peach blossom tree in the courtyard, a maidservant served him a few cups of tea. At this moment, the door opened, and Lin Yin's face was calm as she walked in front of Lin Yu. Chapter 477. You're awake? Lin Yu sipped his tea lightly. He did not expose the fact that Lian Yin had already woken up. Lian Yin did not know why, but when she saw Lin Yu, her cheeks could not help but turn red. She shook her head vigorously, and I seem to have had a very strange dream. Lin Yu raised his eyebrows. Maybe it wasn't a dream. Lian Yin thought that Lin Yu was talking about the embarrassing matter with Yin Xiao Xiao. You're not allowed to mention it again. Lin Yu blinked and said innocently, I'm saying that you were possessed. It wasn't a dream. And? Lian Yin only felt her face suddenly become hot. This guy must have done it on purpose. And for such a long time, from just now until now, the sun had already gone down. If she was not really uncomfortable lying down, she would not have come out to face Lin Yu, because she still heard the voice just now. This king is also talking about this. Lian Yin suppressed the throbbing in her heart and changed the topic. State teacher, did you save me? Only when she thought of the terrifying process of being possessed. The moment her divine sense was forcefully squeezed to a corner and her body was out of control, Lian Yin's aura stabilized, and she no longer thought about anything else. You can say that, Lin Yu said casually and continued to drink his tea. Although he did not seem to care about anything, at this moment, he was planning what to do next. The Emperor Zither and Emperor Seal were now in his hands. The Emperor Sword was in the Sword Emperor sect, and Yankai should also have the Emperor Sword, which was equivalent to being used by Lin Yu. The bet with Heavenly Emperor Xiao was almost at its end. He was born from the Demon Emperor, so he had the first key from the beginning. Lin Yu analyzed the current situation. The Emperor Fire left behind by the Alchemy Emperor was also stolen some time ago. Lin Xiao must have stolen it. Logically speaking, he should have 2 keys, or even more. Lian Yin saw that he was silent. Was he still thinking about what just happened? This damn hooligan! Lian Yin coughed dryly. I was about to return to the Zither Emperor's sect, but I heard a piece of news on the way. What? Lin Yu was attracted by her words. Lian Yin continued. Do you remember the incident of the Alchemy Emperor's gate being robbed? Lin Yu nodded. This time, it's the Tong clan's turn to have their things stolen. Lian Yin sat in front of Lin Yu and asked curiously. After we left the Sword Emperor Gate, I heard that the Divine Emperor Gate and the Heavenly Emperor Gate worked together to destroy the Tong Emperor Gate's lair. Oh! Lin Yu's eyes immediately lit up. Lian Yin continued. At that time, didn't North King Shinkei, one of the 4 kings of the Tong Emperor sect, bring many people to the Sword Emperor sect to ask for young Master Shang Su? They might have taken away a quarter of the Tong Emperor Gate's forces. This time, the Heavenly Emperor Gate and the Divine Emperor Gate joined forces and quickly broke through the Tong Emperor Gate's last line of defense. In front of Lian Yin's eyes, it was as if she could already see the magnificent scene of an Emperor Gate battle. However, Monarch Tong is very powerful. He single-handedly defeated Celestial Emperor Xiao and the Divine Emperor Lord. However, our Zither Emperor Gate received news that Monarch Tong's personal treasure was taken away. Lian Yin sighed and said, although Monarch Tong lost his treasure, he still managed to protect the Zither Emperor Gate. This can be considered a great fortune amidst the misfortune. Lin Yu knew something was wrong. Others didn't know what exactly Monarch Tong lost. However, how could he not know? It seems like the Emperor armor has fallen into the hands of Celestial Emperor Xiao. Celestial Emperor Xiao also obtained 3 keys. This is getting more and more interesting. Lin Yu smiled and looked at Lian Yin. You should know that you still have her aura on you. Lian Yin's delicate body trembled as she lowered her head. I'm sorry. I knew she had her eyes on you. During the battle at the Zither Emperor Gate, I also, ever since you became a blacklist emissary, you knew how terrifying that thing was. You also knew that she could control you at any time. Lin Yu said indifferently. His words shocked Lian Yin. She stared at Lin Yu. You already knew? Casually nodding his head, Lin Yu ignored Lien Yin's expression that had changed from shyness to gossip and now to shock. He continued, in the battle at the Zither Emperor's Gate, Feng Bushio's aura scared you, so you ran away. After listening, Lien Yin lowered her head in shame. I'm sorry. She squatted down as tears welled up in her eyes. It's not your fault. You didn't stay because you knew you couldn't stop Feng Bushio. Not only that, if she controlled you at that time, I'm afraid the entire Zither Emperor Gate would have no chance to make a comeback. Lin Yu had seen through her thoughts. He had seen through her when Lien Yin returned from the battle. I shouldn't have come back. Lien Yin still had her head lowered. Her entire body was trembling because she was afraid of the number 1 on the blacklist. Lin Yu stood up and patted her shoulder. If you don't come back, how can you be at ease going to the Zither Emperor Gate? Lien Yin's tears immediately gushed out. After this battle, the Zither Emperor's cultivation had regressed, and the Zither Emperor Gate was riddled with holes. How could she dare to tell anyone? Not only that, even if she said it, no one would believe her. She believed that in this starry sky, there had always been an existence even more terrifying than the Emperor level. She had created the blacklist and lurked among the 8 great Emperor Gates. No one knew where her true body was, and no one knew when her 33 clones would appear. Lien Yin only knew that the moment she became a blacklist emissary, she had also become a 33rd clone. As for the other clones, she had traveled through the starry sky to search and investigate, but she had no clue. The 32 clones were the same as her, scattered in the starry sky. Before they exploded, they were as normal as her and Feng Bushio. But once they exploded, they would immediately become the terrifying number 1 on the blacklist. However, Lieni knew about this, but she didn't have the slightest evidence. It's right now to cause panic. Lin Yu agreed with her and said, Feng Bushio is already dead, so one of her clones was crippled, but you are still alive. Then what should I do? Lien Yin's face was filled with fear. As for Lin Yu, his face was gloomy as he glanced at her. What did you do after I killed Feng Bushio? Hearing this, Lien Yin's delicate body trembled, and the guilt on her face became even more obvious. Lin Yu, I'm sorry. Lien Yin didn't dare to hide it. She knew that Lin Yu had the Emperor Zither and had the ability to stop clones, so she took the initiative to follow Lin Yu to the Sword Emperor Gate. I knew that once I left you, she would take my body. Lien Yin was already sobbing. At that time, Lin Yu had chased her away at the Sword Emperor Gate. She was really unwilling to leave, but she couldn't refute Lin Yu's intentions. Enough. What if others think that I bullied you? Lin Yu said indifferently, if I didn't agree to you staying by my side, I would have chased you away from the start. The corners of his mouth rose. The number 1 on the blacklist was looking for an opportunity to kill him. But how could Lin Yu not want to kill her? Can I really stay? Lien Yin asked in fear. But before Lin Yu could answer, Luo Shaochen rushed over in a hurry. Before she arrived, her anxious voice was heard. Master, something happened at the Ghost Gate, that you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.